Hello, Philadelphia! I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show!
He's right along with them. Take a breath. Two and two. Swing and a miss. He got him. Wow.
Look at that kid. Look at that kid. All right. Not yet, Andrew, on that. I mean, that moment last night was a moment that we should all look at and take in. All right. That was one of the most beautiful scenes that played out. It was just beautiful, all right? First of all, how do you not love that kid, all right? That's the purity and essence of fandom. It's why we love sports, right? It's why we love baseball, because a moment of only a moment like that can happen in baseball, where the sport breathes, right? The beauty of baseball is that it's got a breath, that it's got a moment that you can drink it in, right? Everything slows down. And here it is, Alvarado on the mound. And so the camera can catch this kid, right? Great work by the guys at NBC Sports Philly. I mean, great work. I mean, to find that kid and to show that, to see that boy, that little boy, and the height of innocence, the height of the love of the game, it's just beautiful, right? Because it's about that kid. It's about that moment. We were all that kid, mind you. If you love sports, even the most leather-lunged fan, the most jaded fan was that child, right? Who fell in love with sports, that you imitated Alvarado, or in my case, imitated Larry Bowa or Mike Schmidt, right? Like, you imitated these guys. You loved it. The fact that he had such unbridled joy of being in the yard watching this moment, right? Like, watching it. It's absolutely beautiful. Jamie brought up Angels in the outfield, and he's just so spot on, right? Like, if I'm the Phillies, I reach out to that kid, I find that kid, and I bring him every game. He's my good luck charm, all right? He's the kid that I want to ride with the rest of the season. He's my guy. I want a spot for him every game. It was such a beautiful, lovely moment in time. And it's a great lesson, right? Because it shows you it's not about championships. Yeah, I mean, we always want to win, and that goes without saying. But that's not all. It's not in all totality. It's not about that. It's about these moments, right? It's about believing in something that is bigger than us. That's the collective, right? It's a companion. Sports is the greatest companion of your life, because whether you're 8 years old, right? Whether you're that boy or you're an old man, 80 years old, you got sports, right? You go from playing it, watching it, to watching it and living it and loving it. And it's a companion. It gets you through tough times. You need things to cleave to get you through the trials and tribulations of life. It also is the great connector. So, it connects adult and child and everyone in between. It tightens the masses, right? It brings us closer. That scene last night was such an important scene, because it took a moment, and it makes you think, and it makes you take a breath, and to realize how important it is. Yesterday I'm working on a project about college football, and so I was talking to a GM yesterday who I know, a friend of mine, and so we were talking about what life is like today around college football, the landscape. And it was interesting because we were talking about the kids. And he was telling me, he goes, dude, like the biggest thing that the kids that you have to worry about is mental health. He's like, more than drugs. He said way more, like nobody's doing steroids. All that stuff's gone, right? All these, like, I'm trying to think about things that I grew up with, right? Like that, were the biggest worries. He said mental health is their biggest issue to overcome. And then when you think about it, and you think about what that generation was been through, right? COVID, right? If you go way back, you got economic strife, you got all kinds of mass school shootings, and then you got social media, and you have all that pressure and all those images and all that noise that's in your face. And I think back to when I was a kid, I didn't have to worry about that. My biggest worry was, hey, we're going to have enough kids to play ball, right? Like ignorance was bliss without social media and all, seeing everything. Like, and that messes a kid up. So sports is a great combatant to that stuff. Sports is a great healer. And so that moment, and it was funny because I was at a Little League field last night. That's where that picture was. I was there. Like, it was practice, right? So we had practice last night. And, it was just a beautiful night. It was, 72 degrees, and it was a nice breeze. It was absolutely perfect, right? It was baseball. Beautiful, beautiful thing. And then I go home, and I see this. And put it back. Let's run the video one more time. And this is what I see.
Right along with them. Take a breath.
Look at it.
Two and two. Swing and a miss. He got him.
Look at that.
Wow.
I mean, that's beautiful. I've watched it 1,000 times because I just love the innocence and the purity of the moment. It's such a lesson for all of us to slow the bleep down and shut the bleep up, right? And to just enjoy it. I mean, take moments, little moments. Just a moment at the end of April, right? That's what that is. So, just a game at the end of April. And the crowd's into it, and that little boy's into it. And he provided a great lesson. Good morning, VG.
What's up? How's it going, man? Can we have that kid sit down with Kirkering and get him some laser focused eyes, man? That kid was locked in.
That to me was just so striking. It was the most beautiful thing I saw in the over the course of the year. The Phillies should have that kid as a mascot every day.
He should sit right there, right next to Liam. They're probably about the same age. They should sit right behind for home plate. Hey, just before we get into this, Jordan Schultz reporting Jordan Davis. They're picking up the fifth option at $12.9 million. The Eagles.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah, go. Well, talk about the moment. To me, the theme is not Kirkering or the fact that they won, lucky, whatever you want to look at. That's not the theme. That's not the most important piece of the show is seeing that.
Yeah.
And taking that lesson.
I was never that kid. Pretend I was Tug McGraw. I did not have that intensity. That kid's intensity is super impressive. And afterwards, he do the little archery thing, man.
Oh, yeah, he was imitating Alvarado. It was a great, it was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that kid, man. Get more of them. I don't know what we do. Throw out the first pitch tonight.
Yeah, but my point is, it's bigger than that. It's the importance of what sports is.
Mm-hmm. The distraction. Hey, last night we talked yesterday.
But it's more than that. It's not just a distraction, dude. Like I hate when it gets put in a box of, well, it's just sports. It's just a distraction. Like it's bigger than that because it's communal.
Of course, yeah. I'm 100% with that. Like last night, we had the volume on at the bar. They did a vote. They're like, We're at the bar, and they said, hey, the Phillies are on. Do you guys want to listen to volume? It was unanimous. The whole bar wanted the volume to the game on. Turned off the jukebox, and it's April. We're sitting around like it's a playoff game. They never put the volume on. Like, it's totally communal. I was with 18 people last night, 9 of which I don't know. We're on every pitch. Yeah.
That's great.
And that kid comes up, everyone's losing their mind.
It's a Tuesday night.
Always at the bar.
He'll be at the bar. That's the best.
You started it talking about margaritas yesterday. I was like, I gotta go get a margarita.
By the way, you sent me a picture of it. It was a good-looking margarita.
It's your fault.
After the show, I said to VG, I go, dude, all I want is a margarita, right? And just sit back and he's like, yeah, that's a good call. He's like, let's go. I'm like, I can't go get one. I'm in the middle of the day. I got 9 million things to do, and I got baseball practice tonight. Yeah. I mean, my margarita afternoon day drinking on a Tuesday ain't happening.
I didn't start till 6:30. I went out for the game. And by the way, everyone was like, man, margarita's a great idea. It's a great day for a margarita.
It was like, a perfect day for a margarita.
Yeah.
It was a perfect day for it.
Yeah.
But, listen, I know I go down the road here, this road often, but I think it's important. I do. I think it's important to talk about, that kid and the fact that we could take a lesson from him. Listen, I get, we root for a team and we're going to be ups and downs and the angry sports fan and, somehow the angry sports fan became the poster of fandom.
Well, we're never that angry as kids. I don't know when the anger starts to set in. Like 20s, maybe. Like when you're that kid's age, I was never, even when the Eagles stunk when we were kids.
Dude.
I was never angry at the Eagles.
I mean, if I'm going to be honest with you, I'm really never really angry. Like there's moments where I would get irritated, but I mean, I don't know.
Sixers, maybe a little.
Yeah, like mismanagement is probably angers me most of all. But like the angry, especially the vitriol to the players.
Yeah.
Like unless you're just a dog, right? Like, and we know, then whatever is what it is, right? Like, but I was like that kid. I was exactly like that kid growing up.
I mean, don't know.
That was me. I was at every game, you're at every game that I could go to. I loved it, right? Loved everything about it. And I locked in on the field.
Yeah, and like if you're like me, I was in a concrete driveway just throwing a ball off the back of my house, pretending I'm Tug McGraw winning the World Series, like reenacting him jumping.
How many times we would be playing ball to half ball, right? Like, who's this? My cousin and I would like do batting stances.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was always you loved it, but like you did it. It was every sport. Baseball's different because, like that. Baseball, you can have a moment like that. You can't have that moment in any other sport because there's a breath in baseball. Baseball, you can breathe. So the moment, it's why I still don't like the pitch clock for playoffs because you
like to let it breathe a little more.
I would. I would get rid of the pitch clock for the playoffs because that's the moment, right? It's fans, it's hitter, it's pitcher hitter, it's this whole kind of showdown, like, let it breathe, let it play out.
I got a kid, I think I mentioned to you, I saw him on opening day this year. He walks to school in my neighborhood.
Yeah, you told me about him.
I saw it every day. I see him this morning. And I can't take a picture of him because it's weird taking a picture of a kid, but he's head to toe baseball gear every morning. He knocks for the girls next to me. They walk to school together. Today, Phillies backpack, Phillies hat, Phillies windbreaker. He's got a glove and a ball. He walks around just popping the ball into his glove every morning on his way to school. They don't have a baseball team. It's like elementary school. Like this kid's just all in on baseball. And those are the kids that are, I don't know, baseball to me has always been something special. Football's great, but as a kid, it was always baseball for me. It's like something about, I don't know, we did opening day. We did a parade through the neighborhood.
Right.
It's all summer.
Yeah,
it's not all summer anymore. They changed it. But when I was a kid, it was all summer long.
Well, it's for me. It's all summer.
Yeah, they started to do they started with the intramurals and stuff. Like baseball stops when school stops because everyone goes away on vacation. But now it's all a whole different level now.
Kids.
Yeah.
And, you had Legion Ball that took you through the summer. But, nowadays it's completely different. Nowadays I'm trying to figure out, because we're going to be in Cooperstown, and we have a tournament, and he's got football practice. Like, there's going to be like football bleeds into it now. You're like, it's crazy.
God bless you.
But the beauty is that and I want that. Like, I don't complain about it because I want them to play sport. I want them to play as many sports as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I want them busy. I want them tired. I want them exerting physical energy. I want them to have that outlet because I think it's good for them. Whether they play, on Saturdays, Sundays, or intramural, in the driveway, right? Well, I don't give it. They need to go through this. They need to play it. Like, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I would agree. We're old men. Anything to get them off the video games, I'm like, you got to get out and play. Get out and play.
Right. Well, and just, being a part of something.
Yeah.
Being a part of a team. Like, I tell them all the time, like, dude, you're a part of something. You're up early. Like, we got a tournament Saturday. I'll be up at crack of dawn.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, he's going to be he's going to be a pain in the ass. Like, Massimo will be a pain in the ass not getting up. Anthony will always get up. He's got a rowing, he's got a race Saturday morning. So Tam will be with him. I'll be with Massimo. And I'll be like talking to both of them, going, guys, listen, a lot of kids are sleeping right now. Mm-hmm. You're up, and you know what? You're doing something. That means that's meaningful.
Completely. And the one thing about that kid that reminds me too, like, me, I'm an anxiety guy. So anxiety is always about worrying about the future. It's so hard to be in the power of now, like that book and the moment of the now. And that's what baseball, and that's what that moment, that kid was not worried about anything else. And none of us were. Like, sports is a way to get us grounded into the power in the moment, in the present moment, which is so hard to do in life.
Yeah, it's a great point. Like, talking about that whole theme, yesterday I told you I was talking to a friend of mine who's a GM in college football, and I was asking him about, like, what are the biggest headaches now because of all the changes and everything? And, what's the biggest challenge when it comes to the kids? Because you get these kids now, who's going portal, who's trying to do, everybody's trying to shake you down for more money. Mm-hmm. Like, it's nuts. But he said the kids themselves, the biggest issue with them is mental health. He said it's not
just
drugs.
The stress of it.
Like, it's not like when we were growing up. Because when we were growing up, it was more innocence is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. Like, we didn't know the ills of the world like they do now with social media.
Yeah. No, you see the nightly news, but I never really pay attention to the news.
Like, the ills of the world are right in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And I think between that and COVID and everything else, I think it really messed up a lot of kids.
I'm still coaching. I got one more game left. And my biggest thing is anger management. Like, these kids have a lot of stress and they lose their crap, man. They lose their minds, get super angry. Like, I do more breathe, relax than the actual X and O's coaching just to keep kids right, man. So, yeah, it's a rough world out there for them.
Yeah. So that moment in the game was awesome. Now, the Phils themselves, the bullpen is obviously an issue. You called it Kirkering. The eyes, man.
He's not ready for it, man.
You called it. The eyes. He has the doe eyes.
Yeah. And the whole up the middle defense. Stott's good at second base, but Rojas and Trey Turner are a little rough up the middle right now.
I mean, what happened to Turner?
What happened to Rojas? He's supposed to be a defensive genius, prodigy.
Come on.
The guy can't take.
I never bought into that. Like, he was he's some great center fielder.
Gary Maddox Jr.
I know. Come on. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Anyway, we got lots to get to today. As always a lot of fun. Mike Sielski, one of my favorites, the great columnist for the Inquirer, author of many books.
Got a nice piece today about the Flyers and Tocchet, maybe.
Yeah, I'm so excited. The Tocchet news yesterday.
Yeah, I think time frame might have expedited. Yesterday.
Yes. It was funny because I've been on this thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Like, you're digging around.
I'm like, oh man. And I heard it was going to be a little while. And then because his contract theoretically wasn't going to be up until the end of June 30th. But now it's there. So I love Tocchet. I think Flyers and Tocchet would be a perfect marriage. All right.
That will energize the fan base. I can assure you that from me being on the streets. People are excited about this possibly happening.
Yeah. It's a great hire. And it's not just, and people right away are going to criticize, we're going to go back in the Flyers past. He's a great candidate. All right.
He's coach of the year last year. I mean, and his playing, it was maybe one of the most perfect combinations of skill and toughness.
Yeah. And he's also he's not overly, it's not like he's one of these crazy, torts kind of guy, right? Like that's going to wear on guys.
Mm-mm.
He's got more of that. He knows how to talk to today's players. He's got sensibilities. And, I think it's good. I think, I also think it's good to link back to that era of Flyers. I think it's good. I think it's great to get the Flyers back in that kind of mindset.
Do you think the Flyers have the inside track with the Penguins also looking for a coach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'm excited. So we'll talk to Mike Sielski. We'll talk to the Brain, Mike Garafolo to wrap up the draft. And Coach Frank, our buddy Coach Frank DeLano from Haddonfield is going to join us. We'll talk some quarterbacks. We'll talk some draft. We'll talk some area talent. All right, lots to get to today on the show. Let's talk about a little Ashley Furniture.
Oh, yeah. Low prices at Ashley Furniture are blooming, just like all the flowers around you. So why not spring in some savings with our friends over at Ashley Furniture? Right now, you can save up to 50% off living rooms, bedrooms, and dining rooms, and you have it all delivered free right to your door. Plus, you get long-term no-interest financing, and you could also save on top brand mattresses. And with the mattresses, you get free delivery, free setup, and the all-important free removal. But don't wait. It's only lasting through spring, so spring into savings now at Ashley, South Jersey, and Philadelphia. Financing is with approved credit. Minimum purchase required. Some exclusions may apply. See stores for complete details and hurry over to an Ashley Furniture store in South Jersey or Philadelphia, or check them out at ashleyfurniture.com.
All right, let's talk about the PARX Sportsbook online casino app. It's a PARX Wednesday. Sanchez on the hill for the Phils. And look, you can live bet on Phillies, golf, basketball, hockey playoffs. All right, tonight, second game of the series, Sanchez. What do we got? What's the line? Phillies should be a healthy favorite, my guess is.
I would think so.
Right? Remember, the last outing cut short with the forearm, but he's back. I think I'm smelling a good night for Sanchez. And you can bet his strikeouts. You can bet player performances like home runs, ribbies, bases.
Minus 235.
Yeah, that's a healthy favorite. 235. So whether you're, I'm telling you, whether it's baseball or hockey or hoops,
motorsports, Formula One,
right? There's always
boxing.
Another way to win the casino, right? Because you have that. You have all your favorite hot online slots. You have live dealer blackjack, roulette, craps, you name it. In fact, new customers get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. BetParx.com has all the details. You got to be in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. This portion is brought to us by the PARX Sportsbook online casino app. And joining us right now, our buddy, one of the great voices in Philadelphia, columnist Mike Sielski. Good morning, Michael.
Hey, Ann. Hey, VG. How you guys doing?
What's up, Mike?
Doing great. And, part of it has to do with the images of last night's game and that boy. Because that was you, that was me, that was VG, right? That was Andrew. And to see the innocence and the joy play out was just a thing of beauty and a great, I think, reminder of what life's about.
I could not agree with you more. And we look at sports so much now through the prism of numbers. It's almost like these athletes are just pixels on a screen, whether you're talking about your fantasy team or the distance that we now have from them because they make so much money and they kind of control their own narratives and all that stuff. To see a young kid like that so into the game that he's emulating Jose Alvarado on the mound. It brought, like you said, it brought so much joy to see that. I thought it was awesome.
It did, and you're right. Like, you know, we they have to run during the NCAA tournament. They run these ads about people who harass athletes because they lose a bet, right?
Oh.
Well, right. They ran those PSAs, those ads, like leave those kids alone. All right. You know, don't be a loser, right? You lose a bet. Don't harass these people. And then you have the, fantasy sports and all that stuff's great, right? It's all in perspective. But you're right. It dilutes what we think of sports, and it dilutes that these are people, right? Like, these are real people doing this, man. Like,
Yeah, and the other part of that too, it just occurred to me while you were talking, is this is one of the downsides of this I don't know if you call it analytical, but like the tanking approach, right? Like, look, like we've talked about, I supported the idea of what Sam Hinkie was doing with the tank. But when you see it throughout baseball, for instance, you now have franchises that are halves and you have franchises that are not trying to win. They just aren't. Teams like the Pirates and other small market teams. And when you and I were kids and when VG was a kid, the fun of like following the Phillies wasn't that you thought they were going to win the World Series that year. It was just baseball every night. It was just watching these guys, and they were your team. And if they were better than you thought they were going to, turned out to be better than you thought they might be, cool. And if they were terrible, like you thought they were probably going to be, okay, well, at least you got to root for Mike Schmidt or Von Hayes and listen to Harry Kalas and Richie Ashburn every night. And that element is gone. It's all about, can you win the championship? How you doing on your fantasy team? It's much more zero sum, I feel like, than it's ever been.
Yes.
And that took us back to the way it kind of used to be.
Dude, yes. That's exactly the difference. You're right. I remember being a kid. My grandfather had a bar on 12th and Tasker, right? And I remember going there on Sunday, like every once in a while on a Sunday. I had to be like 7, 8 years old. And they used to have this the Coke from the bar in the tall, thin tumblers, right? And it was so like tasty. It was such a treat, right? And I remember like just locked in on the Phillies. And he used to be like, go ahead, Aunt, tell them the lineup. I'd spit the lineup out, throw the bar flies, right? Whatever. I remember being down the shore, my cousin and I couldn't wait to go watch the game. Like, I couldn't even, the Phillies probably under 500. But we couldn't wait to watch a game. Oh, Phillies and Wrigley, the wind's blowing out. Oh my God, I can't wait. It didn't matter. You're right about the zero sum. When did that become so pronounced?
I think as media spread out, it probably did, right? Because it became much more common to talk about teams and athletes in that way. You have to have something to debate. You have to have something to discuss. Who's better? Who's worse? Okay, well, it's got to be about championships. I also think that there was a scarcity back then, right? Like, if you lived in the Philadelphia area, you were going to watch the Phillies that day, and that was it. You didn't have the choices of, oh, well, if I'm slightly interested in the Arizona Diamondbacks, I can watch their game on the MLB Network or in this app or on that app. So it was more special to watch your hometown team back then than it probably is now. I mean, to your point, like I can remember sitting in an old shore house on the bay with like 25 of my family members watching Don Carmen like come close to throwing a no-hitter on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah. And it was like, oh, you read about this stuff happening for other teams in other cities, but you never think as a kid, like a Phillies pitcher might throw a no-hitter. And we were all just locked in on that. And part of that is because it was the only game on TV. It was the only thing we could watch. So I think that makes a difference too.
When you were a kid, I used to love, we get the Sunday Inquirer, right? And in the Inquirer was the TV guide, right?
Yeah.
And I used to go to the sports. Like I would just and I would mark that. I'd look and see which games were on TV during the week. Like, oh, all right, I got the Sixers Tuesday, the Flyers Thursday, the Phil, and like you would look, oh, look at this, the Braves were on TBS. We could get TV,
Yeah, and I would also love like the 1 or 2 sentence write-ups of all the movies. I would read those, like what movies are coming on.
Yeah.
There's the classic one about the Wizard of Oz, right? A strange woman lands in a strange land, murders the first person she encounters, and then escapes to kill again, or something like that. This great write-up of the Wizard of Oz. So yeah, I mean, it's great to think back to those times.
Yeah, it is. And I guess last night is that moment. It can only happen in baseball, too, because baseball lets you breathe. So there's a moment of breath. So you can then see that kid in that moment. And I love what NBC Sports Philly did last night. And you can have that moment and you can see it and it works. You can't do that with any other sport.
No, it even gave you a moment to breathe after the Phillies almost pissed the game away after the top of the 9th inning.
It also dawns on me that the idea of the zero-sum championship, as we're talking, I think back to 2005 on at Eagles, and it was just fast forward to the Super Bowl. Fast forward. Like all that success, and it kind of messed with you that it was just about the Super Bowl, and nobody cared about the regular season. And like, look at the Sixers. Nobody cares about the regular season. And look at the Phillies now. Well, you had that great moment last night, but most people are going, well, are they going to make the playoffs? Okay, but what's the run going to be like? So we're fast forwarding this entire season to a month.
Yeah, and that gets the fun of sports exactly backward. Everybody talks about why do you root for these teams? Oh, I want to see them win a championship. No, you don't. What you really want, what everyone really wants, is the ride. That's what made 2022 with the Phillies so much fun. That month, it was the ride. Yeah, everybody was disappointed they lost the World Series, but it was more about Harper against the Padres and Rhys Hoskins' home run against the Braves, and the rout of the Astros in Game 3. And it was the ride, and that's what people want. And we're getting away from that. The Sixers certainly took that away from everybody. And we're losing it with the Phillies now. Like, they're a good team. Enjoy the fact that Philadelphia has a good baseball team. It hasn't happened all that often.
Dude, you're so spot on, right? It's so interesting because the ride is it. Like, even when the Eagles win the Super Bowl, there was a part of me as the fourth quarter was underway and it's a foregone conclusion and it's a party and you're going, oh my God, how great this team is.
You're melancholy.
Yes, because it's it. It's over. Like, there's no more games. The run's over.
You're melancholy leading into the Super Bowl because you're like, oh, it's going to be over. The year's over after this.
Yes. Part of me hates the Super Bowl.
Oh, I know. There's a lot.
I like the journey, the ride. Mike's right.
This is good, Ant. You hate the Super Bowl. I hate the NFL draft. What the hell are we doing in our jobs?
That's blasphemy, Mike.
But you get it, right? Like you understand that the idea of the thing being over. Listen, obviously it's what the most important and everything else, but there is a part of you that just loves the perpetual ride.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things to cover and be a part of, and I don't know when it's ever going to happen again, is when one of the local teams in college basketball would go on a March Madness run. Yeah. If you were covering Villanova on one of those runs, or Temple happens to get to the Elite Eight or something like that, like the night before one of those games is so much fun because you're wondering, like, are they going to win? Do we have to book plane tickets somewhere next week? What are the stories we're going to be able to tell and write as this goes on? That's the fun of it, man.
Totally.
Don't you think that, like, as Philly fans, over the years, and we've been lucky lately, but over the years, people like our generation, it's the ride. But sometimes it feels like other cities have a way cooler ride, and like our roller coaster's a little janky and bumpy and not as fast. So we become a little. That's how we got negative and jaded. Our ride kind of stinks sometimes. I enjoy the ride, and I'll always sign up for the ride, but.
What are you talking about? 2008? That wasn't a great ride?
Recently, but growing up as we were. Our generation is the older, more miserable generation.
No.
I think the younger kids are not as angry as we are. because they've seen a bunch of good success.
I don't know, but my formative years, they were great. All 4 teams went to the finals when I was 10 years old.
Yeah, but from 83 to what, 93? And leading up to that, I don't know. I feel like we had a lot of bad seasons.
We were miserable.
Yeah, I agree. I'm more inclined to agree with VG. I think the stain of 1964 got passed down from the Boomers to Gen Xers, and then there wasn't much to celebrate. I mean, one of the greatest summers of my life, I've probably said this to you guys before, was the summer of '93.
Yeah,
because it came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
you want to talk about a great ride? That was a great ride with the Phillies winning every night and it being so surprising. But yeah, I mean, it happens so rarely that I feel like I savored it when it did happen. It just didn't happen very often.
I don't know, but if you're 10 in 1980 and all 4 teams go to the Super or the finals, like, I don't know, that was my, like, I thought that was normal.
Yeah, see, I was 5, so I don't have a very good memory of that.
Yeah.
Like, literally the first Phillies memory I have is going to a game in 1982 for my birthday when I was 7. So I don't remember anything before that. So I think
a 3-year window. 80-83 was the best it could be. But other than that, it was a lot of junk.
I mean,
but we kept coming back.
I mean, I guess.
I was still excited. I'm still excited to go and sit in the 700 level of the Phillies
first
games.
of all, the Sixers, you had the Barkley run through the 80s. You had the Flyers had great runs. Edmonton, you know, twice in the finals. Right? I know the Phillies weren't, Phillies were bad.
Yeah, but I mean, the lack of fulfillment.
Buddy's Eagles.
Yeah, but the lack of fulfillment was never there.
Yes.
Right? If Buddy's Eagles had won a playoff game or two a couple of those years, that'd have been one thing. Yeah. It was that they kept getting beat immediately in the playoffs.
Yeah, I hear you.
And and the Flyers kept running into like the greatest team of all time with Wayne Gretzky and Yari Curry and Paul Coffey in Edmonton. So there was always disappointment.
Yeah, well, listen, you don't get to 50. Basically, we go 25 years, right? We go, without 100 seasons.
Yeah.
We went 100 seasons without a title.
Yeah.
Until the Phillies won in 08.
These kids today, they don't know.
Hey, I want to talk draft and I want to talk Flyers.
Okay.
All right. What is the thing you detest most about the NFL draft?
That nobody knows and everybody acts like they know. That's what bothers me. The lack of intellectual humility. I know that sounds highfalutin, but we spend that's number one. The fact that with certain exceptions.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you. I do think they know. I think you have an idea. You're talking more from a media standpoint?
From a media, that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is I don't like the lack of critical analysis, at least on the first night of the draft. You watch the first night of the draft, and every single pick, it sounds like that kid is going to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And I feel like people pull their punches, with the exception of Mel Kiper, who's insane, but at least he was entertainingly insane and willing to speak negatively about teams' decisions. So many of these analysts now don't want to break relationships with people in the league, and the networks are invested in talking up each pick to get each fan base excited, that it wears on me after a while.
Yeah, I get that. I think that's fair. I could say it. Listen, I was telling VG there was an air of futuristic, post-apocalyptic show about the whole thing. They go, they make a pick and then they go to people that aren't real packers. There's no way in the world you're going to tell me that these people aren't actors. I know they're actors. Every group in Green Bay, there's a team. There's a group of a team, right? And there's let's dress them like the fans. Real fans don't dress with the stupid thing here and the hats and the garb. These people are fake. They're actors. This whole thing's a production. It's a freaking movie.
Yeah, it's a TV show, and nobody is happier about Shadur Sanders dropping to the 5th round than the NFL as a whole. It added a layer of drama. It gave everybody something to talk about in a draft that otherwise was going to be relatively boring compared to some other drafts, right? You didn't have too many high profile quarterbacks. There wasn't a lot of movement. There wasn't a lot of controversy aside from the fact that Shedeur kept falling and falling. And so that's what it is, man. It's a TV show. We had Roger Goodell riding a bicycle like he's freaking Paul Newman in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Like it was so cringy and so bad. Like I'm just tired of it, man. Just pick the players and tell us what you think and be done with it.
I hear you. I love it, but I love it from not the show or spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
I really like I love college football, and to me, it's a way to kind of dive back into football. And I like seeing the kids. I love the local stories of the kids being drafted. So I love Jahad Campbell, right? Like here's a kid lives 25 minutes, grew up 25 minutes from where we live in Jersey, and I see you running around with youth, so I see all these kids and these moments. I was talking to Derek McCord, during the whole draft. He's like, "What do you think?" And all, I don't know. I love that. I love the fact that
that's the best part. The kids are the best part. The players are the best part because it's the biggest night of their lives. They're realizing their wildest dreams. Totally get that. Take away everything else about how the Jaguar, the Carolina Panthers this kid's a winner. You really don't know. You're just trying to be positive for the sake of being positive, and I'm tired of that.
Well, and to your point, there a lot of these do. First of all, the idea of a draft grade is the dumbest thing in the world.
It's insane. It's insane. I said that.
I remember writing them when I was freelancing. I'd write them for Street and Smith. Remember that? And
sure, of course.
And I used to have to do a draft grade. And it used to be the deadline was April, right? April, literally 3 days after the draft, I had to have the thing done. So you don't know what's going to happen in camp and all that stuff. It was ridiculous.
It's insane. I went back and looked at draft grades for the Eagles last year, and universally, the player who got the lowest, who the Eagles were graded lowest for drafting, was Jalix Hunt, the guy the Kansas City Chiefs couldn't block in the Super Bowl. Was C+, F, D-. Why would you take this guy? Well, it turned out okay.
Yeah, I mean, and these people, you think any of them have seen a down of Houston Baptist?
No. Give me a freaking break.
Right? Nobody watch. And they go, I watch film. You watch YouTube highlights. Come on.
You know what the draft is, Ant? It's Michael Rappaport's line in Beautiful Girls. It's bottled promise. It's hope dancing in football cleats.
That's a great line. That's a great line. Hope dancing in football cleats. I love it, man. It's brilliant. All right, let's talk Tocchet.
Okay.
Great piece, great column. What do you think? I mean,
I think he'd be fine. I do. I think he's a good coach. I think the concern that some segments of the fan base have about him being a retread and being an ex-Flyer and oh my gosh, they're going back into the well. I don't think that holds water. And look, I was the biggest critic when I came back to Philly in 2013 of the way the team was doing things. the insular, Clarkie's here, Homer's here, good hockey guys, but you've been doing the same thing over and over again for years. This is different. They've already made the big break from the past by beginning the rebuild. That's what Briere and Jonesy have done already, is they said, we're breaking this thing down and we're building it back up. That was the big step. So if they think Rick Tocchet is the best coach to bring in for this, okay, I'm willing to give it a shot. Guess what? It's the NHL, man. If it doesn't work out, teams change coaches like pit crews in NASCAR change tires.
Yes.
They'll find somebody else.
Yes.
The big decisions are Matvei Mishkov, and what do you do with all these draft picks? And do you package them to go get a Brady Tkachuk down the line or something like that? Those are the decisions that are going to define the future of the team, not whether they hire Rick Tocchet now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I also think, look, they went away from the franchise. They went outside. They hired a coach from college, right?
Yeah.
They've done all that. They made you, to your point, they made the break from the past. So
right.
I don't mind it. I'm by the way, there's a part of me that loves going back to Rick Tocchet.
Sure.
Of that era that is often, that era of Flyers hockey is forgotten because You have the cup team that everybody always will go back to. Every so often, there's a bullies kind of redo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it. Every once in a while, we'll talk about the 2010 run. We'll talk about, the 5 overtime game. Right, Lindros piece. But that 85, 87 Flyers with Tocchet, Zezel, and Derek Smith, by the way, all in one draft. That was a great era of Flyers hockey.
It was. It was. And I heard what VG said before I came on about Tocchet, and VG's 100% right. Like he was the perfect melding of toughness and talent in a player. I mean, he just was. Like, look at his numbers that he put up with the Flyers and then with the Penguins after they traded him. Like, he was a great, great player. And I don't mind dipping the toe back into that pool for a Rick Tocchet. He's been around, he's coached in these other franchises where success was really hard to come by.
Yeah.
He was coaching in Tampa before they got all their great players. He coached in Arizona, he coached in Vancouver. Vancouver, that's like the Vancouver Canucks are like the equivalent of the Sixers before they built the headquarters in Camden. It's like the Canucks their practice facilities like PCOM. Like it's crazy. So give the guy a shot.
By the way, your two best players hate each other.
Yeah. Other than that, everything was cool there, So yeah, if they hire Tocchet, great.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very bullish on them. I can't wait for them to come back. I've been watching more NHL playoffs than NBA playoffs. Loving just the thrill of it, man. Watching the Wild in Vegas and Creel and all
what the league. The games have been great, Ant, but you know what the league needs? The league needs its big market teams to get good again, right? Like the teams that are really fun to watch are Carolina and Florida. And it's great that the Canadian teams are doing well. And I would love to see like the Toronto Maple Leafs make a run because I think, people in Toronto have been like waiting for this for more than 50 years. But the NHL needs the Flyers and the Rangers and the Bruins and the Blackhawks to get good again, to draw people back in. And I think you're right. I think the Flyers, seem to be pointed in the right direction. A lot of it's just going to come down to the players that they pick over the next couple of years.
You know what came up the other day was the pregame brawl against the Canadians, which I know you remember very well.
Oh my gosh, Hextall and Chelios, yeah.
Yeah, of Pat Croce coming out in shower shoes, right? And doing a karate move.
Yeah,
karate. It got me thinking, like, how would that play today? Because people still, there was a dust up last night, one of the late games, and the crowd's just nuts.
There was the great one the other night between the Canadians and the Capitals.
Yes,
that spilled onto the bench.
Yes,
and it was awesome. Look, I think the Flyers held on to the bullies like tough guy. You need to be rugged and muck and grind and all that stuff too long, but you can't get away from the fact people love that element of the sport and they love the fighting and they love the toughness. It's part of what makes hockey great. It is the fact that it's so physically punishing and these guys are willing to go to such lengths to win a game. It's what makes the sport compelling.
I know. And I used to argue with Mike Miss all the time about this because he'd be like, it's so barbaric and all this other stuff. I'm like, yeah, but honestly, when you think about it, it melds when you have the great skill that it does, and then you have the physicality. I mean, you have all this, together, it builds something. And I think it would be wild. I think it would be even more popular, to be honest with you, if they allowed more of it.
Yeah, I don't think teams can afford anymore to have a guy or two on the roster who just fights the way they used to. Right. You got to have the enforcer. But the physical play and the spillover of that kind of stuff, it accents, it intensifies the action. It drives home how much it means to these guys, how physically demanding the sport is. And that only makes it more interesting.
Yeah. No, you're spot on.
We're talking when I was in my senior marketing class, it's probably early 90s, we did a case study of the NHL, their expansion into like warmer cities and the fighting, reducing fighting. And we worked, commissioner's office gave us a bunch of paperwork. They were really intent on removing the fighting.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're like 31
Yeah.
years later, they still have not gotten rid of it. They should just embrace it and lean into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I like if think back in the history, right? Like the Broad Street Bullies were almost like the Moneyball team of their era, right? Like they found a way to beat their opponents in a way that nobody else was using. They basically took intimidation to a level that no other team was willing to take it to. It's like the Celtics or the Warriors shooting the 3-point shot nowadays. It's the same kind of thing, and it worked at the time, but it was never going to work forever.
No. The Moneyball is a great analogy. Great analogy. My brother, we could do this all day. I love when we get these big topics.
Thanks, man. Always enjoy it.
I love it. What's new? Anything new? What do you got cooking?
Heading down to Silver Spring, Maryland today. I'm doing a big story for the Inquirer for down the road that I got to go down there for. But on the way, I'm stopping at one of the houses that Sly Stallone grew up in as a kid. Rocky Research.
Really?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Who lived in Maryland? Was his father?
His dad. His dad.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Who was
played
originally
polo.
from Philadelphia? Was his father? Who was the? Who?
Well, they moved there. He was born in Hell's Kitchen,
Okay.
and they moved there when Sly was like 5 or 6. So they had a beauty salon, and they were kind of bouncing around looking
Right.
for places to. That's how he ended up in Home Circle.
Gotcha. That's great stuff. All right, brother. Be careful when you drive.
All right, thanks guys.
Pal.
Great seeing you.
Always great. Mike Sielski. Always a fun conversation.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. Good insight from Mike.
Do you like the draft stuff's interesting? How much he hates it.
Well, that's how Mike goes.
And his point is I get his point. I'm on a different end of it because I only see what I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
But I get, I get part of it.
I get it. It is exhausting. Like he says, every pick is a great pick.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do? Trash a kid on the draft night? You can't do that on TV. So
Exactly.
I get where they're coming from. Mike likes he's a little counter guy. He would like them to rip a guy on the biggest night of his life.
All right.
No, this is a terrible thing. This is a horrible fit. This guy's never going to make it at this next level.
But my point is they don't know.
Yeah, right.
Right? Like they don't know. You don't know. Like the Jalix Hunt piece that he brought up was right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to La Brain.
Brain. Red, the brain finder.
La Brain. Top of the morning,
morning,
to
guys.
you, Brain.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
What do you say, buddy? Did you see the kid last night in the Phillies game?
Who we talking? Who?
Okay, so you probably didn't see it.
If he can't bet on it, he ain't watching it.
All right, so there was a kid in the Phillies game that the broadcast. Are you in Florida?
I'm in Florida.
Okay,
I didn't
you
watch
wouldn't
the
be able
game.
to see it.
I was following it.
All right, I want to show you. You can see the video. I want
Yeah,
you
let
to
me
see
see.
this moment, and I know you'll be able to relate to it. Okay?
Show me. Yeah.
He's right along with them. Take a breath. 2-2. Swing and a miss. He got him. Wow.
Now, tell me you weren't that kid.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was great.
I love that
was
kid. Love that kid.
Yeah, it makes you smile. It makes you smile. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. It's just cool. Like you see, like the emotion. That's what I'm saying. It's funny in life, Anthony, and you're obviously a parent. The purest thing in the world to me, it's why I love kids so much, is kids. There's no jealousies. There's no just all the bad things in life sometimes you see. When you see something in a kid, the pureness of it, there's nothing like it. And that was pure.
Yes. I mean, last night I'm at baseball practice and I'm just feeling that. It was a beautiful night. It was like 70 degrees and little breeze. And it's, 9 o'clock. And I'm like, and they're trying to hit home runs. Like it's the end of practice. And they're all trying to hit home runs. And then Moss goes, I got a ball right here. He's like, wait, Dad. Right. So he throws the ball up to himself and he tries to hit it out. Right. So
Sure, I used to do it all the time.
yeah,
Remember that?
same thing. So he throws it up and he hits the fence, right? He goes, I can't leave like that. I went, all right, go get it. He runs all the way to the fence, comes all the way back to home plate, does it again. This one he puts in the trees. I go, there you go. All right, now we can go. Right? But like that's the beauty of it.
That's the beauty of it. Yeah, listen, I'm with you 100%. I love that kind of stuff. Again, especially, you know, look, when you get to do it with your kid like that, that's really neat. But yeah, that was a cool thing. And I guess that moment, I guess they're showing that all over with the young boy who was at the game last night. Yeah, that's cool.
Great stuff.
That's very cool. That's great stuff. I agree with you.
All right. What'd you make of last night's action?
You know, it's funny. I always say, again, I say in life, you choose to be consistent, you choose to be right. And the Knicks are a team I've probably been too consistent on versus saying they're just not that good. And I remember last year against the Sixers, you know, they won with having every injury in the world. I mean, they beat them. They beat them in 6. They would have beaten Indiana. They lost in 7 because they literally were playing with like 8 men down. I'm like, okay, they have the coach. Brunson's a legit stud. They had Towns. OG Anunoby's really good.
I
They
always
had
think
Mikal Bridges
Towns
in the offseason.
I think Towns.
Negative?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're as good as they were last year. Sounds
Oh,
weird.
there's no question they're not. No, I agree.
Sounds
And
weird
DiVincenzo-
because you know, Cat's a really good ball player, obviously, but I think it took away from their depth. Like they had those ugly centers that just beat you up and they grab rebounds and Hartenstein and you know, and sometimes it allowed other guys like they have too many. They only have one basketball. Like last year,
too many chefs in the kitchen. So to speak.
you know, I think they have. I think there's too much. You got Bridges.
Also, they did lose DiVincenzo off the bench, which was a guy that was a pain in the you-know-what last year. And a good way, I say that as a compliment. So, and look, him and Randall versus Town. It's funny, when that trade was made, it's like, is that a trade? I don't know if it helps either team. I'm actually curious how it plays out. And I still say right now, are both teams happy with that trade, upset with that trade, neutral? I really don't know because it seems like neither team necessarily got better. But yeah, I mean, look, again, Detroit, again, I give them all year. That was the team that to me was I would actually, I thought Detroit was, look, Cleveland obviously won 65 games or whatever it was. And he's going to win Coach of the Year. But Detroit to me actually was the team more than any other team that they're supposed to win like 25 games. They won like 45. And but it was a good 45 where they played hard every night. And you look at their team and you say to yourself, this is again where I sometimes struggle. I'm like, okay, Cade has seemingly become a legit superstar. And they're like, okay, who's the next best player in the team? And you're like, I don't know. You say to yourself, how's this team been this good? And I'm still struggle every time I watch them. Hardaway's a good role player. I do like Duran. He's decent, but Harris is whatever. They don't play. All-Star is a foul machine. So I'm just surprised that Detroit has been able to be as good as they are when I watch them play. I still can't quite figure it out. I guess they're physical and tough, but you give them credit. I mean, look, they should be winning this series, Anthony, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Should be winning it.
Yes.
I mean, I think they've outplayed them all 5 games.
Yes, they have.
I'm going to go that far.
Yes.
I think they should be up 5-0.
Yes.
At least 4-1.
Yes.
But it just look, I don't know. Knicks are in a dogfight. And but I got to tell you, out of all the games last night, and I lost one of my props on this. I mean, Indiana game had to go overtime, which was they're up by 5 with 30 seconds to go. They can't hold it. Then they're up 7 at the line with 35 seconds left, and they lose.
Guys,
as someone who does this, do you realize that, Anthony, the chances of that are probably 1 in 1,000? I mean, that's an awful loss.
Oh my God!
Awful.
Yeah.
And then what's his name? Freaking Nemhard hit a bomb. With like 10 seconds left, and I lose my prop bet with him. But I mean, God, if you're Milwaukee, man, that was an all-time an all-time
All-time
loss.
That's
Look, when you-
all-time Doc Rivers. And I don't think it was
All-time
the
Doc
Doc
Rivers.
Rivers piece, but
They didn't even attempt a free throw.
I know.
Think about this.
But
Think
it's a
about this.
Doc Rivers
After it was a
moment.
7-point
Like
game,
it's a Doc Rivers. Like, of course, Doc
Experience.
Rivers would coach that team that would lose that.
yeah. Yeah, and it's funny. They played. Look, I actually like what Doc did. Actually, he put Portis in the starting lineup. He kind of benched everyone who was stinking up the joint, so to speak. And it's like, all right, I'm going to play my 5 best
Yeah.
guys from the outset. They got off to a big lead. Indiana, of course, came back, but look, Giannis, God, he's so good. But and then look, we know Boston was going to win, and then Bonchero picked up 5 fouls. It was actually a close game until he did, and then once he left, I mean, the floodgates opened. So look, we'll see what happens. And then tonight, look, we get obviously Houston, Golden State Game 5, and Minnesota, Lakers. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, and in hockey, you had the wild stuff in hockey. The Toronto,
I was
the
rooting for my Kings. They got outplayed last
they
night.
got the Kings got outplayed. I thought Vegas got lucky. I thought Wild. Although
Yeah. That was a good game.
That was a great game. Vegas dominated the third period.
Yeah.
But the Wild's dangerous, man. I love Kaprizov. He's one of my favorites. And don't forget, coming up, Mike Garafolo, the great Mikey G, to go over the draft. So we'll be talking to Mikey coming up shortly, right after the brain. But it was a good sports night last night. How'd you guys do?
1 and 2, not great.
1 and 2. How about you,
17.
Brain?
4 and 3. Should have been 5 and 2, but coulda, shoulda, woulda. But 30 and 32, closer to the 500 mark, but still not quite there yet. VG, what do you like?
15 to 17.
All right, you guys are both 2 games under 500.
Yeah,
You're right
we're getting
there.
there.
You guys
back. I
listen,
started
you had a
0
rough
and 6.
start. Now
Yeah.
you guys are coming back strong. Yeah. Of course, Brain brought to you by the PARX Sportsbook online casino app and PARX Casino. All right, boys. How many you got today, Brain?
4.
All right. What do you got? You start.
I'll start. I'm gonna make it kind of a 2 plays in 1, if that's okay. I took the Padres today, pick 'em. Michael King, as you know, Anthony, one of my favorites. Laying not a crazy price. I think I laid like $1.30. I don't know. Let me look. I see what it is right now. But I like him, especially at home. He's a guy who splits. His splits at home were absolutely tremendous. He is incredible at home. Roop, to me, of the Giants, below average pitcher. I love King at home, and I took King over 6.5 strikeouts. When he's at home, he's 13 and 4 to the over his last 17 starts, averaging over 8 strikeouts, and the Giants strike out a lot. So again, I'm taking King, and I'm taking him over 6.5 Ks, taking both.
I like it.
All right, I'm going. This team stinks, the Orioles, but I'm feeling them today. You got 2 gas cans on the mound with Carrasco and Povich.
Yeah,
I'm going Orioles minus 106 money line.
Yeah, it is a trash man kind of play. I give you credit. I couldn't do it. I mean, that would be the lag. That would be a tough game like that. Okay, I'm going to give Austin Reeves. All series, he's been 4.5 assists, which to me is the right number. Today they made it 3.5. He's 57 and 20, 3.5 assists. We saw JJ play the entire team 24 minutes in the second half. Now, I'm not saying they're going to do that again, but he's certainly going to get his minutes. Again, he goes over that about 3 out of 4 times. Even in a lower scoring playoff scenario, I still would have had it at 4.5. I think 3.5 is too light. Give me Austin Reeves over 3.5. Assists.
All right, Brain.
I'm going Phillies run line minus 1.5. It's even money plus 100. I think Sanchez.
You trust Sanchez today?
Yeah.
Yes, you do. I'm
a
hoping
big
he's
fat
okay.
number minus 235. Yeah,
Yeah.
You don't trust
I don't
Sanchez?
know.
I do.
No, I'm talking
yeah.
to Brain.
No, not right now. Again, I'm going to make that's one of those things. Listen, I pray he's okay because I told you I think he's incredibly important to this 2025 season. I think they need him. I mean, I think he's their second best starter.
Yeah.
And if he's anytime, and again, I'm just going by years of experience. Anytime a guy leaves with shoulder soreness, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen it. Where a guy makes his next start like this. Forearm. Yeah. Forearm's actually worse. I always feel like that's always a prerequisite for something that's just about to happen. And I just pray it's not the case. I really do. I don't know. I'm sleeping with one eye open with him. I'll leave it like
What's
that.
the number?
I'm sleeping with one eye open.
The other minus 235. I'm doing run line is
Right.
even money plus
Yeah.
100.
Yeah.
What's his strikeouts?
I'll
I
give
don't have it listed yet.
5.5.
5.5.
Yeah. I'm going to take Buddy Hield, Anthony, as my last pick, over 9.5 points. Now, the reason I'm doing this, again, this is one I am using recency bias. His last 2 games, now one of them was without Jimmy Butler, in fairness. One was without Jimmy Butler, but he's played over 30 minutes. Now, he played well. He shot the ball 15 plus times both games. I think they need another guy to score, Golden State. I mean, they've taken Kuminga out of the rotation, basically. Draymond can't score. Podzinski hasn't been scoring. I think Hield, again, I get he's a Heckle and Jide, Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jide player, like at the highest level. He is.
The best is Heckle and Jide. Jekyll and Hyde.
What is it, Jeff? Oh, Jeff.
You're like Heckle and Jekyll.
I don't even know what, man. Jeez, man. Don't ask me anything. I was like,
I know Mikey G right now is going, Jekyll and Jekyll.
Remember Chuckle? Remember, I don't know why. Remember there was a candy called Chuckles.
Yeah. I know the Chuckles.
Yeah, Chuckles.
I hated the
Yeah, I
black
used to love the Chuckles.
Of course.
That's the licorice one.
Yeah.
Wait, you liked the black? You didn't like the black?
I didn't like it. I hated it. My father.
Yeah, that was the one I wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
I ate every one except the black.
Me too.
Yeah.
I ate them all except the black.
My favorite was the
yellow,
cherry. Was the
orange,
red?
the red.
One. The red and the
The
yellow.
red was my favorite.
Yeah.
Those were my favorites.
Yeah.
The red and the yellow were my favorites.
Yeah, me
and then
too.
there was the green and the orange. But the black.
Yeah, the black
give
was
that one-
horrible.
I didn't like. I don't like black licorice.
No, me neither.
The worst. But anyway, Buddy Hield over 9.5 points. He's gotten 15 the last couple. That may be a little too ambitious on my end. I think he's going to get those minutes again. But if he gets the minutes, which I think he will, based off the last 2, I'm going to go over 9.5 points. He averaged over 11 in 21 minutes tonight. So if he gets 30 minutes, if he's averaging 11, I think he can get 10 if he gets those minutes.
I'm going a little footy, Champions League.
Oh,
Woo, PSG regulation over Arsenal plus 108.
That was yesterday.
What?
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Yeah.
You won.
You did, yeah.
You
won.
PSG won.
It's a winner.
Oh, that's Arsenal. That's the next game. That's next week. No, that's May 7th.
No,
That's like
they
2.
played yesterday. They played aggregate.
Oh, they must be playing another one on May 7th.
They do. It's the aggregate.
Okay. all right.
Tonight's
All right.
Barcelona.
All right, hold on. I got another one, man.
It's Barcelona and Inter.
I love PSG.
Here we go.
Anthony, wait, Anthony.
Athletic.
I'm adding a 5th
How do you
pick.
pronounce
Eagles
this?
beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Athletic. What's it? Bilbao.
What?
Yeah, they're
you
gonna
talking
romp
about?
on Manchester U today.
Oh man, freaking
Europa League.
Try to add a game that's already won.
Europa.
There is another Champions game. You can go Inter and Barcelona.
Yeah, I'm off. I'm all screwed up now, man.
Go Inter.
All right, Inter. I'll go
You
Inter.
like Inter?
Rooting interest, yes.
No, I don't want to. Wait.
Barcelona's going to win, though, unfortunately.
Barcelona's going to win?
Yeah.
Let's do over 2.5 goals.
You like that?
Over 2.5? Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, good boys. Great stuff as always. Thank you, Brain. Have a wonderful
Appreciate
day,
both
buddy.
you guys. All right, bye.
See
Be
you,
good.
pal. All right, but I don't want to keep my man waiting because he's driving and we're going to have him on the phone. He's driving down the shore.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, much deserved after a hellish off season. I'm sure he needs a couple R&R days.
Wildwood guy?
No. He's a little northern
All right.
because he lives in North Jersey, so he does that. Their shores.
Okay.
From the NFL Network, hometown superstar, our man Mikey G, Mike Garafolo. Good morning, Michael.
What's up, cuz? How we doing?
How's the drive? Is it a beautiful drive today?
Beautiful drive. Beautiful. That weather's perfect. Pristine.
What's the first thing you're going to do when you go down the shore?
I got to meet the exterminator. We got wasps.
Oh, okay. I'd rather wasps than creepy crawlers.
What? The wasps will sting you. Creepy crawlers just move around. That's all. They just,
Yeah, but you can get rid of it. Why the wasp?
Stop on the creepy
The
crawler.
wasp.
I don't mind the wasp.
Yeah. You're crazy.
No,
The wasp
wasp.
serves no purpose.
Okay.
Can I curse on here or no?
I prefer you not, but you know, I mean,
All right, sorry. Well, yeah. So there's a good meme out there about like the bees, and it's like they pollinate. They don't want to sting you. You know, they're good for nature. All this stuff, and then the right side it says wasp, and it says basically just an a-hole.
Yes.
you know what? That's actually a great analogy. You know what? I think about it. You're right. I love the bee. The bees are good. Bees
Oh,
good.
we need the bees.
Right. Bees are good.
You need the
peeps.
bees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're right. The wasp
just want to.
what purpose are they? And they are nasty. They're nasty SOBs.
Yeah.
You're right.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah, the bee will only sting you if he feels threatened. The wasp, if you're in his territory, he'll just
They're like
sting you
bleep
because he doesn't die.
Yeah.
He doesn't die. The bee dies. That's why the bee doesn't want to sting you. So
The
yeah, we
wasp,
got
like
wasps.
from
They're
Philadelphia.
in the house now.
The wasp is a bee from Philadelphia.
The wasp are
Well,
important.
no, now but see, I can't now. I called the wasp an a-hole. I think.
Well, I mean, you know,
people from Philly are just misunderstood.
You know how we are
by the rest of
I
the
mean,
country.
You know, let's face it.
Yeah,
the
I
wasps
know.
are crucial for the survival of certain plant species like figs. And additionally, wasps can contribute to the spread of yeast, which is important for wine and bread making. Oh, man. The wasps getting bad rap. They need a new PR person, the wasps.
Really? I got news for you, Mike.
I like bread.
You like bread?
Like wine. Like
Yeah,
figs.
well,
Love figs.
All right. Well, if this gig doesn't work out, I'll go into wasp PR.
All right, let's put a bow on the draft. Before we get there, though, the Eagles pick up the option for Jordan Davis. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah, they were. I mean, Howie pretty much said they were gonna. He said we just want to tell the player first. But he said that the other day at his press conference. Don't they have a second one too to pick up?
Yes.
Who's the other one?
Yes.
Who was the other one from that draft? So that was the 2022 draft,
Yes.
right? Who was their second? Who was their second pick?
Hold
that
on,
year?
I gotta look it up.
Is it?
I gotta look it up.
Help me out.
Yeah.
Because it would be another first round pick. So they had two that year. Help me out.
Yeah, I know. I
They got a
gotta
second one.
think about it for a second. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
Jordan Davis and
Yeah, I can hear.
no, they don't have a second one. Maybe I'm.
You're thinking of Nolan Smith from the year after.
Yeah, but I thought they had two decisions to make this year. Maybe I'm.
No,
maybe
they
I'm
traded
confused,
the
but,
other pick for AJ Brown. That was it.
Okay, all right. So yeah, he pretty much indicated that they were going to do that. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's now fully guaranteed, which I think is fair. Yeah, the next year they have two. The next year they have Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. So that'll be next year, which both will be picked up next year as well. So yeah, it makes complete sense for these guys to do that, and it's fully guaranteed. When they first started this, it was only guaranteed for injury, which made no sense to me. But now it's fully guaranteed, which I think is fair for the player. You're making this call a year out. So yeah, you pick up the option. It gives you the flexibility to do what you need to do moving forward.
This is a big year for him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Jalen Carter has gotten all the headlines and he's gotten all the attention, and he's certainly they've hit on that pick more so than Davis. But Davis, it's a big year for him in the sense that you're getting the option picked up, but you're not at the point yet where you're going to give him a mega extension, right? And now, if he plays well enough, it's a tough decision for them to make. To have to, think like, oh, we're going to put all the money into Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, but it can be done. If not, he sets himself up for a payday as a free agent after next season potentially as well. So they've got time to make decisions on him, long-term decisions. But this is the year for him to really make a statement.
Well, he's got to be on the field. He's got to warrant the snaps. I mean, that's the whole thing with him. Like you see he's got ability, but you got to be able to get snaps.
Yeah, especially on a team like this and a roster like this, where you can only pay so many people, and you've got to make these tough decisions across the board. And that's where somebody said, how'd they let Milton Williams go? Well, because you can't pay everybody.
Exactly.
Like, it wasn't a mistake by Howie to let Milton Williams go. It was. We just don't have the resources to pay this guy. And they're going to have to make that decision with Jordan Davis at some point over the next year plus. And yeah, this is the year for him to make that statement for sure. If not, then you decide like maybe next year, before he hits free agency, Do you want to trade him and get something for him? A lot of times that'll be the move to make rather than wait for him to hit free agency, get paid elsewhere, and then get a comp pick on the back end. So there's a lot of different ways that this could go. But regardless, whether it's with the Eagles or someone else, Jordan Davis playing well is paramount for him for his financial future this year.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, let's go totality with the Eagles draft. 50,000 foot. What did you think?
The Jihad Campbell pick makes all the sense in the world for them to do, to take a player that's, in their minds, and they didn't have, 32. No team had 32 first round picks. They had, teams were anywhere 14 to 15, maybe close to 20. But it was that kind of draft. And at that point, to have a guy who's in their top 10, which is where they rated him, to have in their top 10, to make that move to get him, you do everything you possibly can to get it done. And all of a sudden, teams that were indicating leading up to the draft, yeah, we're willing to move, we're not willing to move. I mean, the Giants ran into the same problem when they were trying to trade up for Jackson Dart. So you move up one spot, you give up a 5th round pick, fine. You got plenty of picks over the next 2 years. It's to make sure you get a guy like that. Who cares about a 5th round pick? Who, I've we talked about this last week. 5th round picks, it's like, is the guy even going to make the roster out of training camp? I know every general manager thinks, well, I draft better than anybody and we develop better than anybody, so these are going to be, going to turn these into something. I'd rather have the sure thing of a 1st round pick that is a top 10 player on your board.
Yeah, and listen, you and I were texting during the draft. I mean, they were trying to move up, and they just couldn't. And even day 2, I think if you ask Howie, out off the record, I'll tell you, I think he was a little disappointed the way the board fell, and the fact that just weren't a lot of teams interested in next year's pick. It was really difficult to trade.
Okay. I'm sorry, Ian, say that again.
I think Howie would tell you that day 2 was frustrating for him. That he tried to trade. There wasn't a lot of interest in next year's picks. And it was just a difficult landscape, and the board didn't fall the way they wanted it to fall.
Yeah, and look, day 2 was it was a high value day for them, for a lot of teams, really, because we talked about that plateau that started middle of the 1st round for teams that lasted into the 2nd round, and it's like, okay, teams were willing to go back in the 1st round to pick up more capital to get into that cluster. So that's why it was harder for teams to find that. To find that landing spot for trades into the 2nd round. We saw some action. We saw some early. But yeah, I think a number of teams ran into that where teams wanted not even so much to move, but teams wanted more at certain spots.
Yeah.
To move at that point because they saw the value of being in that cluster of picks for sure.
Yeah, and listen, I think I know they had interest in Fannin. And that's going to be a story as to what happens at tight end with Goddard, because I know they wanted Fannin Jr.
Yeah.
And, I think that was a thing. And I also know they like the kid from William and Mary, that was the
tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of teams liked him a lot. Yeah, there was a not an untapped, but a guy that really at a higher level of competition in the NFL, they feel like could really blossom, and he had all the tools. So yeah, a lot of teams like that guy. I'm not gonna be surprised if he winds up being a really good tackle in this league.
Yeah, and then what do you hear about Goddard and how that situation will play itself out?
It's still TBD. Because now listen, both Goddard and Mark Andrews, I'm putting them in the same cluster because those are 2 guys we thought could get traded around the draft. And both are looking for new deals, right? They're at the end of their deal. So it's how do you play it if you're the player? How do you play it if you're the team? The teams that had interest wound up with tight ends. The Jets and the Colts both got a tight end. I mean, Broncos still had some interest before. There's still potentially some other teams as well. But really, Indy and the Jets were the 2 landing spots for teams, or for Goddard and Andrews, I would say. And both wound up with tight ends early. So I think that took the air out of some of that. So, yeah, Goddard is still TBD as to what's going to happen with him. I don't think either side really wants hey, play out the last year and then head to free agency. He's going to want some, more money in the near term, more security, I guess you could say. And the team's not going to want him to go to free agency and then just miss out on him when you could have potentially traded him before. So I still think that's one to watch. And you've got teams post draft that are really assessing where they are and what their needs may be. So I did check on it yesterday, and I was told nothing imminent either way with regard to him staying for sure or heading elsewhere. So it's one we're going to have to continue to keep an eye on.
It's just you're right, because you lumped the two of them together. Both, I didn't realize that Goddard's actually older by a little bit.
Yeah,
because I'm always thinking. I mean, Andrews always feels older to me, but he's not.
Yeah, he feels like he's been around forever.
Yeah,
but he's got good football left. And the issue with the Ravens is, they've got Isaiah Likely as well.
Yep.
They got to figure out which guy they want to pay, because you're not going to pay both tight ends. So you make a decision. You pay Andrews, you're pretty much saying goodbye to Likely, and then vice versa. So I think if you had gotten an offer for him, makes it a lot easier for you to say, oh, hey, look, it's just an offer we couldn't turn down, and you make the move. They didn't get that because I think, again, those teams that I talked about were potentially going to circle back if they didn't get a tight end round one or two in the case of the Jets, but they did. So now it's like it just made it difficult, on both teams. Now, listen, I mean, there's nothing to say you can't play out the final year for Goddard and Andrews. It's just not preferable for either side. So,
and especially Baltimore, because Baltimore's got two. You got, like you said, you got Likely, and you got Charlie Kohler. Yeah. So, it's not like the Eagles will have no one.
Right. I mean, it's a little easier for the Eagles, I think, in the sense that, I think it's a little easier for the Eagles in the sense that, and how we made it clear, like they think highly of Dallas Goedert. It's not like they were looking to dump him. It was just a tough decision to make on a roster with a lot of guys you got to pay.
Yeah. The rest of the draft. What did you think about the rest of the Eagles draft? Funny, I had Matt Rule on the other day talking about his boy. Mm-hmm. That kid's going to be. He's like a dream for Philadelphia people. Like, they're going to love him.
Yeah, he was. He's just a solid player, right? Just a solid all-around player, and he's going to be successful. He's going to be a guy who's going to be patient. He's going to make plays. The question is, is he Milton Williams, where he plays himself into a huge deal,
right?
Or is he a guy who's just a core piece, maybe extend at some point? He plays for the Eagles for 6-7 years, something like that. But it's just, I think the reaction after that pick from around the league that I did canvass some people on was, hey, it's just a really good pick by the Eagles right there. Like, he's going to be a guy for the Eagles, at least for the next 4 years here, as a part of their defensive line rotation.
Yep. All right. So draft wise, how do you think it kind of went? I mean, I know, Shador gets all the headlines. What was your thoughts on how that thing was covered?
How it was covered?
Well,
I mean, I think it was the reaction.
Played out, I should say.
Yeah, I think it was the reaction to the coverage. Look, I don't think that anybody. I would say my biggest issue is, and my colleague, Tom Pelissero took a lot of heat for what he wrote, but what he wrote indicated what was coming. I just, it's easy to say, oh, well, what Tom wrote and what was put out led to him falling. NFL teams don't care about the coverage. It's not like they're reading stuff and saying like, oh, wow, they know. I mean, where he's getting his information is from the people who know what's happening there. So I think the coverage didn't dictate where he landed in the draft. Where he landed in the draft, or we knew he was going to land, dictated the coverage. So I think people don't put your name on it. Why do we have to do that before the draft? Well, because when you're watching the draft and you say, well, why is this guy falling? You can come up with your conspiracy theories, or you can look to the facts. And the facts were that this kid just didn't comport himself well during pre-draft interviews. He didn't, tell these teams what they want to hear. Now, listen, you may say, and I know how it comes off, right? Like I say, oh, listen, you show up for a draft, you can't be like, well, I'm going to change your culture and I'm going to, you're going to adapt to me or whatever. And no, you got to go in there and say, hey, look, I understand what you guys are about here. Here's what I bring. Here's why I could be a good marriage. And I know that some people look at that and say, well, there's no reason for you to be subservient. That's not what it's about. It's not about being subservient. It's about being a part, a cog in the wheel. It's about being a big spoke in the wheel, a big one. You know, you're not just
right, but you got to be collaborative. I don't know. You know,
yes.
Listen, Wentz ruined his career because he wasn't collaborative.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different kind of non-collaborative approach, I guess. I mean, it's but I understand what you're saying, Ann, and I think it's important to show that you're going to be a leader, that you're going to be, you know, one of the things about being a great leader is you got to point to yourself when things don't go right. I mean, how many great quarterbacks come to the podium after a game and we know it wasn't their fault, but they'll say, "Hey, it starts with me." Same thing with a head coach. "Hey, it starts with me." You don't point fingers. This kid pointed fingers in college.
I got to do a better job.
How's that? Yeah, I mean, Andy Reid, exactly. How's that going to go over when you got a room full of grown adults, highly paid adults? You know, you've got to be culpable. And he did the opposite. He threw his offensive line under the bus in college. So this is the kind of stuff that goes with you, that carries with you through the draft process, and you know, it affected him. It did.
What were they? What was the league talking about after? It's like you had Mel Kiper, you know, crushing the whole league. They're stupid. Yeah. They don't know what they're doing. Like, what was the? I can only imagine the conversations that were flowing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've seen Mel take some heat back from teams before, and we've seen Mel been right before, right? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and disrespect Mel. You feel passionately about something, you sell it. You know what I mean? You only know one way to do it. You know, and there shouldn't be any gray area when it comes to the draft. You should be passionate, whether you're a draft analyst or whether you're you know, somebody who's in the draft room as well. So I think that's kind of the approach that Mel has taken here, and I respect it for sure.
Do you like Dart? I mean, do you think, let's go, you know, you're very close to the Giants. Yeah. I love Scadaboo. I love that pick by them. I actually thought they had a really good draft.
Well, they had a really good draft in the sense that, I mean, all the way to I put this out there in Instagram, the kid Fedone, Thomas Fedone, the 7th round tight end.
Yeah.
Big tattoo guy, tattoos himself. He's given himself tattoos before, which is kind of badass. So I just checked in with some Giants folks about there was a tweet about, like, you know, from round one, it was like Jackson Dart never slides. Thomas Fedone tattoos himself. This other guy does this. This other guy does. It's like everybody's like, boy, the Giants drafted a bunch of badasses, right? And I sent it to somebody with the Giants, and they were like, yeah, we're done with the how do I clean this up? We're done with some soft players. Like we want some badasses for sure, and it seems like they got them this year.
Let's go around the division. So you like the Giants? What about the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys with Tyler Booker there at the top of the draft. I thought the Cowboys should have done more at the running back position, to be honest with you. And they would have potentially taken Bashal Tutin in the 3rd round, but they wound up Siobhan Rebel, I believe is pronounced. Siobhan Rebel, the cornerback, was coming off an ACL, which, you know, if he gets healthy, that's a great pick right there.
Local kid. He's from our way.
Yes, Bashal Tutin. He's going to do well with the Jaguars, man. They were on him. They were on him big time. And in the 4th round at the start of day 3, they jumped all over the chance to get him at that point. So I think he's going to do real well. He's got a skill set that really lends itself to the NFL. So looking for Bashal Tutin to be successful in the NFL.
Quick. He's really, really quick, and he can catch the ball too.
Yeah. Now he's not, you know, I don't know if he's your every down back type guy, but he is the guy that definitely can do a lot of things in the NFL. So I think he's going to be really successful in Jacksonville. You know, ETN has had a good career to this point, but now they got their own guy down there. So the Cowboys, you know, Booker is going to be a great Cowboy for 10 years. You just know that that's going to be the case. I just thought they should have done a little bit more at the skill position, or excuse me, the running back position. But you know, they're usually pretty good about drafting and developing. So let's see what they do.
And then Washington
had a quiet draft. I don't think they actually something they didn't either trade. They didn't trade or move up, trade down or back. What am I trying to say? Up or back is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So they were kind of a quiet draft for them. They didn't have many picks because they gave up some stuff in the previous year. They made some trades to be aggressive into this offseason. So they didn't have many picks. I think they had like 5 or so. But Trey Amos, I remember them taking, which was a really good pick for them at that point. I think he had a little bit of a medical question, but a lot of folks liked him coming out, so they got him They got him relatively late in the second round, if I'm recalling correctly, is how that went. So I think he'll wind up being a good player for them.
I like it. My brother, get a little R&R for you.
A little bit. Gonna try my best, but you know these kids, they keep you on your toes, Ant.
Well, yeah. I mean, now it's time. You know what? You play dad for a while. All right. It'll be enjoy every second of it, man.
You got it. I'm gonna try my best, Ant.
All right. Be careful, brother. We love you.
All right, pal. Love you too.
See you, buddy. There he is, Mikey G, NFL Network.
He's super cool. Andrew did no favors. They're saying in the chat room, bad picture of the first picture we had of Mikey. Second
really?
one much better. Second one much better.
Really? I didn't know that.
No,
The chat,
yeah.
I trust the chat when it comes to that stuff.
Got to make our boys look good.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, I switched it. I saw the comments.
He's always listen. Andrew's on top of it.
Yeah.
You know. And he's the best is you with the Paris Saint-Germain.
Ah, man, I can't see right. It's like, May 7th.
No, but they play 2 matches, right?
No,
so
I
home
understand,
and home.
I understand that, but I was looking at current odds. It's listed as under Champions League. It's listed. I assumed it was today.
Yeah, next week.
But the Paisans got no shot in her.
I mean, they do. They are the best defensive team left in the championship. So, I mean, it's possible that they can stop Barcelona. I just doubt that they will.
All right.
Yeah.
Plus 165 Inter.
Well, he's got the over, though.
Barcelona's
I mean, Inter usually plays low-scoring games, no?
Well, I'll give Barcelona the 2 goals. So I would feel like a 2-1 game is probably in our midst here. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Andrew knows.
Yeah.
He knows the deal.
I don't know what I'm doing in soccer.
All right. So I like how you give it out as picks. All right. Let's take care of some business. And then we got Coach Frank.
Coach Frank.
Frankie, love Frankie, man. Frankie's the best. So we'll talk to Coach Frankie coming up. Frank DeLano, coach of Haddonfield. And we'll get into it. Ace and Empire.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about Ace is the place.
Oh, thank God for the Ace Hardware Home Services people, because they're just helping all of us klutzes get stuff done around the house. So if you got a leaky pipe, Ace Hardware Home Services, they're around the block with everything you need to fix it. And more importantly, they got the right people to do it. Got an air conditioning issue? Better get it done quick because it's heating up. They got people for that. And if you got some faucet issues or plumbing issues, they got people for that too, because they're not just the helpful hardware folks. They're also the helpful home and repair service folks. From plumbing to heating and cooling, they got trusted pros to keep your house humming and running well all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, they're bringing the helpful home, the helpful you'll love from the store right now to your front door. So visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next home repair project. And speaking of your home, you got to have some good floors. Just like every team needs a home court field ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get started. Empire Today's got flooring experts, dedicated professionals who focus on flooring every single day. Not like those big box stores where we've been. You wander around, you can't find help, and when you do find help, you're like, man, this person doesn't know what they're talking about, because they might be in flooring today and lumbar the next day, or electricity the day before that, or just hanging out, pushing carts. You never know. But Empire Today, they live and breathe flooring, and they'll be with you every step of the way. So it's really a whole new ball game. They're flooring experts. They bring their digital virtual showroom to your house with their computer. You take a couple pictures of your room you're going to put flooring in, pick out some floor samples, and you can see what it looks like in your room before you install, so you know you're making a good decision. And with Empire Today, you get clear upfront and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, if they got the flooring in stock, you can even schedule as soon as next day installation. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. PHLY listeners can receive a $350 discount using the code PHLY. $350 discount with the code PHLY. Restrictions do apply, but visit Empire Today/PHLY for full details. Empire
Today. Empire
Today.
All right. Now let's go to school.
He is always. I always like. He
Well,
is in
yeah,
the classroom.
he's in his
I love
office.
it. I
Clay
love
is
it.
a teacher.
I
We
love
would think
it.
he's just a football coach.
Nah, I love
right?
it.
Like, he's also a teacher, besides being a great football coach with many championships under his belt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's go to our man, Coach Frank DeLano. Frankie!
What's happening, guys? How we doing?
Man.
So you have your
BG, first of all, I love the Oilers hat.
Oh.
I love the Oilers hat. Good work.
It's going to be the
God,
last year I
right?
can wear
It's
it.
so good to see them relevant.
Yeah, I can only wear it. The Flyers will be in the playoffs next year, so it's the last year I can wear it.
Hey, rock it while we can, right?
Yeah,
No
yeah,
doubt.
yeah.
No doubt.
You know,
Love
it's
it.
a great hat, but it is Mets colors.
It's Oilers
Yeah.
colors.
Well,
Come
we
on.
still got to like you, VG, though, right? We got
Yeah,
you.
yeah, you
You're
got to
the king of
respect
it.
the Oilers.
I'm rooting
Yes.
Kings.
I know you are. You and Brain. Brain's about to take a big loss.
Come on now. How great was hockey when the Oilers were in their day? And oh my gosh, every line was an all-star line, right? Didn't matter who they threw
We
out.
were just talking about
Line one to four.
that's why the Flyers bringing back Tocchet would be great.
Oh, look at you. Yeah, we're gonna bring back all the older guys, man. Let's do it.
Well,
Let's
no,
do
he's he's one of the candidates. He's a good coach. It's not like he's the old thing. We're going to go back into those days. So he's legitimate, and I think he's got a. I think there's a really good chance he is the next coach, which would be a lot of fun. Goes back in our day, the Tocchet.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. There was a lot of great memories, right, at the Spectrum and watching. Man, God, but the Oilers broke our hearts, right? You know how many times did that happen, right? Holy smoke! Good stuff, though. Always good. Always good.
I got to ask you before we get into our draft conversation, our football conversation.
Sure.
What classes will you teach? Like, what do you like? You got free period until what, 11?
Basically, yeah. Right now, you got me in a prep period, which is a great thing. I don't know why I've just lost you on my screen here, but I teach sixth grade math, so I just got done doing absolute value in one class and doing a little bit of surface area in another one. Like we're really working. Like we just don't roll out the balls and relax here. No, we're going to do some work. Nah, all good. All good. Yeah.
I told VJ, he's not just the football coach, right? Like, Now, when do you start? You got to be starting workouts, right? They're underway,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Like lifting and speed and agilities, all that stuff is well underway. You're almost kind of in the final stages of that before summer cranks up. In Jersey, we're allowed to start on June 18th. So absolutely, we're going to take advantage of that start date. And that's when kind of our mini camp will go. We'll go 2 days or actually three days out of 4, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And we'll get ourselves cranked up. But, we're right now in the process of doing our staff meetings and so our preseason prep, and also on the flip side of that, meeting with our youth coaches and getting them aligned and trying to help educate them and get those guys ready to roll when their start dates hit as well. So there's a ton going on, just different, but it's fun.
All right, let's go into the quarterback. You are a quarterback guru, teacher at the Manning Academy. He does. VJ, he's on the road doing talks. All right, he talks to other coaches about quarterback, the whole thing. Right?
He's doing God's work. He's a great talker. I'd pay to listen to Coach.
People do pay. They pay to listen to you.
Yeah. Yes, they do. It's fun, but they don't. It's the Glazier clinics do a great job putting that together, and I'm always honored when they have me back. And that's one of the great things to be able to do, to be able to have. Like, listen, there's so many people that have helped lead up into this, right? Like you have somewhere along the line, there was a youth coach. There was a Coach Gillen, who was my 70-pound coach, 100 years ago, trying to stem that love and that excitement to being around a lot of great coaches and great people, a lot of great guys on our staff, great kids. It's all huge. But when the Glazier clinics trust me to go to Vegas or go somewhere to Chicago to talk to a group of coaches, it's definitely a privilege. It's an honor, and something I take lightly. And again, I'm very grateful for those opportunities.
So much was made of this quarterback class, and how there was only one starting of all the assessments. They viewed Cam as the only one who was a true starter. They felt Jackson Dart has a chance, but that was really it. So let's go let's look at it, and I'm just curious of your assessment when you look at these kids.
Sure. Listen, the whole draft let's be honest, the draft is a crapshoot, right? You can go back and ask you for, name 10 draft picks in not maybe last year's class, but the year prior in the first round. And you're like, and you're struggling to name, is that guy, are they still in the, how are they, how did they produce? So I think it's never really an exact science. And can you see, You see him, and fortunately, you get, sometimes you get a chance to see these guys work at the Manning Passing Academy. You see them on and off the field. You see the way they interact with people. You kind of get the big picture of them, not just them as, hey, can you see what their talents are and their talent levels on the field? So when you sit there and I'd obviously talk about a Cam Ward, again, physically, listen, I'm not going to be, as you just said, I'm a sixth grade teacher. I am also a high school coach that has our own teams. I don't run our own private academies and, any other possible coaches that you may have on there. But listen, I watch tape. Get a chance to see them. And, Cam was at the Manning camp when he was actually making an early in his career, when it was going from Incarnate Word to Wazoo, right? And so it was that early. So he was getting the very early stages of it. So you didn't get a chance to see him live, but you look at numbers and you look at production, you see a guy who's got a lot of upside, no doubt. You see a guy who's got a live arm, he can manipulate the pocket, he can extend plays, right? And the things that you kind of look for to me are touchdowns to interception ratio. Like he took care of the football, right? And when to me, when you look at that number, that interceptions, that means you're a good decision maker. You have the ability to put balls where they need to be, and your footwork and mechanics probably coincide with good decision making, if that makes sense. So Cam at 1, I guess, it makes sense. And then obviously you're right, as you just made mention, like Jackson Dart, like he's got enough, he could throw through a wall, right? And he's got a really good arm strength, and he's got really good ability, and you could tell that he threw on time and rhythm, the whole deal. And it translates, right? That's the way the NFL is now, right? Shotgun stuff, RPO world, right? It's very, so it all depends, obviously, the fit and how D-ball wants to, coach wants to use them up there in New York, and that should be a good fit for him, right?
Well, it was interesting. Like, why is it do we hear scouting reports like I talked to a number of guys that deducted a lot of points from Dart because, you know what? You played in Lane Kiffin's offense because you had a great O-line, you had basketball receivers, and I heard a lot of people go, that he was overvalued all because of the situation he was in.
All right, so we could talk about systems like all we want. Like that's another general conversation. You could talk about kind of the air raid approach. You could talk about what really is a pro style offense any longer, right? Because the whole talk was what Mahomes would never translate either. Correct? You watch him seriously on the field at Nickel State in Thibodaux, Louisiana. You're watching him just with elite arm strength, but everyone says, hey, who's going to put him in shotgun 75% of the time? Is it going to be under center? Well, they had to move up, right, to get him, where Coach Reed was like, hey, we're going to develop this guy, right? So I don't know if systems necessarily should be the deductor. It should be the production. It should be watching what throws. And I also don't think, listen, there wasn't a ton of teams really genuinely in a quarterback market, right? Most teams had their starters for, there's like what, five teams that really are like maybe.
Well, you look at like the Steelers, who still allow us to
Correct, right? So you're looking at that, but the flip side of that is who's the OC? What's the identity of that offense going to be, and how does this guy potentially fit? Because unfortunately, what the world is right now, you look at the world with the transfer portal, you don't necessarily have time to develop guys, right? You don't have necessarily that time where you have an Alex Smith sitting in front of Patrick Mahomes to sit there and go, Patrick, take your time. You got a year or so. Everybody's in a win now mode, right? The portal. Let's go. Let's get more guys. Let's get guys who are already ready, rather than developing guys from the grassroots up. So I think a lot of it numbers can be manipulated any way they want. And I really do. I believe that, like, he's not our system. Well, then that's a fair statement to say, if that's the system that you see that you got in here, where we're going to be, a lot of this is going to be RPO world. We want to be more under center world. It's going to take some more time. Well, that's where it takes time for your quarterback coach then to develop into that system. So listen, we can make that argument of he lost points here, he lost points there. But I also think people also try to fit people into systems where us as high school guys, we got to take our cues and develop a system around our cue. We can't just sit there and go, we're going to draft somebody else. We're going to go pick somebody up in the portal, right? We got to make sure we develop exactly who we have, and making sure that our skill sets match. Well, that's the luxury that you have now with shopping at the portal, and luxury you have about recruiting and the draft. You don't like them, we can make up any narrative we want.
You're right. It's fascinating, right? Because when it comes to Dart, you only heard was the Florida game. Oh, he was horrible, right? That exposed him. Kyle, right? Talking to people, about McCord, right? You go, the Pitt game. The Pitt game, it was awful, right? Like, by the way, Kyle lost 5 times his entire career. Like, I know
Correct.
he played,
Correct.
in Ohio State, but it's impressive, right? Like, where does that come into play?
It is. And with Kyle, you could sit there and look at him and go, well, he threw, his touchdown interception. Again, that's a thing that I always jump into, right? Taking care of the ball. Well, he threw the ball 135 more times this year than he did. Something like 130 some more than when he did at Ohio State the previous year. So that's just natural progression, right? You might make a couple bad decisions here and there, but also what led up to that pick? And that's some of the times that we don't necessarily know that. And we as fans, it's real easy to make a really knee-jerk reaction of that was an awful throw. What was the read? Where I love when you sit in stands where you hear people just throw the ball. To who? To where? What's the check down? What's the we have no idea what the route combinations are unless you get the all 22. You also don't know how it's being taught. When is what's breaking down in protection, right? So there are so many X factors that potentially go into those quote unquote bad games. What if it's a choice route and that tight end, right, is he bangs it up or sticks it over the ball route, an OTB route, or Kyle reads it somewhere else, and just you're reading the coverage differently. So I don't know. Listen, I don't know if you can ever just use one game as a narrative. That's why I think you got to really take a deep dive into these people and see the what and the why and how they grew over the years, right? You can't just get well, he didn't do anything against Florida.
Right. Right.
Listen, everyone has a title have a clunker. I get you. They're not paid to, so to speak, in the NFL, but NFL guys do, right? They have clunkers, right? Oh, that wasn't your best day. But why? Why? There's a lot to it.
Who did you like from this class? How did you assess this class?
Listen, you can make an argument. Obviously, you can't lie about, Cam Ward was probably no one disagreed on that one.
Right.
Right. Everyone was like, he was the tops. It's so hard because the X factor, like when you get a Milrow, like you look at his skill set, right? Like but to him, it was the inconsistency part of it. He can run, he can extend plays, he can throw, right? It's who knows? It's how, right? Chuck, he's played a lot of meaningful football. Unfortunately, he had a lot of injuries that were just like weird ones, right? Like broken legs, like no bones heal, right? Which I guess is a good thing, right? However, was there anyone who said, hey, these are slam dunks? Who knows? No one thought Brady was going to turn into Tom Brady either. No one thought that Brock Purdy was going to turn into Brock Purdy, right? Late round picks can develop, so I don't know. I don't know if there was a slam dunk. I don't know if that's someone you're putting your future of your franchise around, but you know what? It's a great challenge. And the common denominator with most of these guys, they all won.
Yeah.
Right. And they're all winners. And you could give us a winner, right? And winners know how to win and they find ways usually, generally.
And it is interesting how now they're looking for so much older kids. Like Shuck is 26. I mean, it's insane, right? Like you look at these at the way college is going. Now they had the COVID year, but still it's going to go that way anyway with JUCO. And by the time these kids are going to have 5 years in the portal, they're going to be 24 years old.
At least, like you got a guy like Dylan Gable, right? I think he made almost like 60 starts. Like 60 starts was at Oregon, Oklahoma, UC. Like he was all over the place.
Yeah,
right? Great kid. He's
a little
wonderful
small.
kid.
I was shocked that the Browns went him because I think he's kind of small.
He is, right? It's kind of almost it's kind of like the Bryce Young factor. He's small. He's a little kid, right? But great kid. He's an unbelievable kid the way he interacts down at. Unfortunately, we were able to see him at the Manning camp for several times. watching the way he interacts again with kids and the way he's going to still be a model of the community, hopefully in Cleveland, and embrace that and be one with, but again, his play shape, there's that narrative. He's short, but what are we going to do? But in Kevin's, Coach Stefanski's system, you watch, there's a lot of naked concepts. There's a lot of, moving the launch point out. He's not going to just stand as a statue, right? Again, he's going to hopefully then cater into his skill set. Well, then all of a sudden now you get a Shador who now is ultimately already taller. He's got the other intangibles. He can see, he can think. Where the flip side of that is that guy got sacked, what? Oh my gosh, got sacked like 140 times in his college career, right? Like that's a lot. That's a lot, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes into that one too. So
yeah, well, how do you think that Shador stuff played out? I mean, obviously, he's a pocket quarterback.
Yep.
He doesn't have, I mean, we all know about the other piece of it. How did you think that thing played out with him?
That again, none of us can make an informed, speculation in terms of, we were not in those meetings that everyone is sitting there talking about the way he presented himself. Where was that? We're not there. You and I, you hear from a friend of a friend. You have more ins than we do. Like, you have friends of friends of friends. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Right. So again, from everyone trying to maybe avoid that personal, I'm not jumping into that one. You can't make that discussion. You see 62 touchdowns at Colorado, 11 picks, got them back on the map. You watch production, but there's obviously some flaws in it. No one's going to miss or bypass somebody who can physically play for 5 rounds, right? That physically is a no doubt about it, no brainer for 5 rounds, where, again, these guys have more information than any of us who call up talk shows or whatever it may be. We're just watching the same tape as they do. But there's got to be something that was obviously a huge red flag. But then the ultimate thing is the Browns go back to back on quarterbacks, which is that is also intriguing to me as well. Like, what are we doing? We're just trying to fill that room.
Yeah, well, I think ownership gets involved. Sticks. That's what I think.
What's that, Ed? I'm sorry.
Ownership gets involved sometimes.
Yeah, it could be. Could be now. At the end of the day, right? Does it become a 2-man race, or does it become is Joe the leader in the clubhouse right now?
Joe's going to play. Joe's going to start. Those other kids can't play right now.
Correct. But I think from a Shador standpoint, I hear a lot of guys throwing. It doesn't matter if you're Riley Leonard, Will Howard, Kyle. At the end of the day, it's not proving everybody else wrong. It's about proving you right. Right? Put your energy where it needs to be put. Right? Don't worry about this guy didn't want me. This guy didn't want me. This guy didn't want me. Worry about those who did. Jump yourself in and be the best version of Shador Sanders. You don't need to be Dion. You need to be Shador. You need to be the first him. You need the first quarterback, and get yourself to be the best possible teammate and everything that you can be. Period. End of discussion. If you're worrying about all the negatives, you're worrying about all the people who didn't take you, my gosh, you're going to be out of it. You're going to be out of the game in a month. Right? Yeah. You just got to worry about being the best version of you, learning that system, being a culture guy, right? Making sure you connect with as many people in that building, the custodian, the cooks, everybody, and just be loved. And then all of a sudden give your coaches no choice. But we got to play this kid.
Yeah.
We got to play this kid. And just prove yourself right. If you're that confident and that proud and you have that pedigree that comes with you, just be you, man. Just be you. But make sure it's the right version of you that the Browns are very proud of, or wherever it is, whoever the Steelers who got Will Howard or Riley Leonard, where it's the Colts. Just be the best version of you. Don't be anybody else. You don't need to be. You don't need to be.
Hey, just last thing about the landscape, because with the way college is going, what do you tell high school quarterbacks, right? Because there's going to be a part where, unless you're the elite of the elite, like I've talked to a GM yesterday, college GM, who was saying they're gonna recruit. It's a big time program. They're gonna recruit 6 high school kids, right? Like roughly, and then the rest will be through the portal. Does that mean, with all the roster limitations, does that mean JUCO will be, and those academies will be the next big thing?
It's unfortunate, but that's probably it with those elite guys who had those aspirations, because the landscape has changed over the years big time, quickly, rapidly. Where we've had kids at Haddonfield that I feel are potential Lehigh, Lafayette scholarship type players there, or at Delaware, wherever it may be. Well, these guys are now getting all these other people that are filtering down. It's always happened on some small scale, not like it is now, right? Not like it is now. And to be a high school senior, it's unfortunate. You better be really darn good if you have aspirations to play at Alabama. And if you look, that's probably why Campbell did exactly what he did, right? And said, all right, I'm going to go to IMG, try to bet on myself and just immerse myself as basically, in essence, a football player for all year round, right? I'm going to go to school there. I'm going to do whatever it may be. It's hard because where some of us who are not in the private sector of that, and I say that respectfully, being, listen, we don't run a quarterback draft prep elite academy. We run a high school program that we want our kids to be successful life after, whenever this stops, right? Our number one thing is not to get these guys into a Division I school. Our number one job is to make sure these people are successful professionals in whatever they do life after Haddonfield football, right? So that's going to be the difference between a high school coach sometimes and these third-party academies that you're just going to keep writing checks to blindly, right? Whether that maybe not necessarily care about the total kid, they care about signing day in the hat, because why? They want to put something else on. Hey, we got the next guy here, not begrudging them, right? That's what they're doing. That's how they're making their livelihoods, right? But for the high school senior now, it is challenging when you're hearing those schools that are taking, six high school seniors, right? So it does. And I guess maybe, the system now where you can go to JUCO and it doesn't even count into your years.
That's
right.
the big deal. Right.
It's a huge deal
because
now you just talked about someone being Shuck being 26 years old. Now you can afford to kind of be that because your clock is not ticking, right? Where there aren't any COVID years now. The COVID years are done, but it still seems like the college game is getting older because of who's in it for 3 years, 2 years, and unfortunately, guys are also doing the other thing, right? Like you look at it, Cam Ward, he started out at Incarnate Word, right? There's probably not 30 people in the country right away up from the Northeast to know where Incarnate Word is. But now that he's a quarterback of the Tennessee Titans via Washington State, via Miami, number one overall pick. So it's the yin and the yang. It's tough. It's frustrating. It's frustrating for high school Qs. It's high school to go, man, I'm good. I got the ability to play. But you're now competing against a kid who just played 4 years at Duke, who just transferred to Notre Dame.
Right.
Right. Like it's a heck of a free agency we got here now, isn't it? It's crazy. It's free agency.
Yeah. I was just looking yesterday. Houston Chronicle released a story. Texas this year, they're going to spend between $35 and $40 million on their roster. That's a
University of
college
Texas.
team. $35 to $40 million on their roster.
Like you read somewhere that Quinn Ewers possibly lost $8 million, right? Because he didn't stay, right? And he became the one, got picked in the 7th round, right? Like
Right.
it is what it is mind numbing. And then you talk about how that filters down. It filters down to the lower tiers and the mid majors, and you just hope that there's still college football, at some point here, because there's not enough money to go around. There's not going to be these schools that are going to dump in the resources we can't compete, right? You can't compete. And that's always, the NCAA tournament. That's the beauty of always having that St. Peter's. Like, hey, there's going to be that 215, right? Sometimes you just don't know how those other teams are going to fare if they're not, unfortunately, dropping millions into your college program. These aren't college athletes anymore, right? These are pre-professionals. Stop. They're professionals, right? And that money's not always guaranteed either. So hope they're getting good guidance. Right?
Yeah, it's a great point. By the way, we're approaching overtime right here on the program. Frankie, have you a lot of the kids that were drafted locally? Did you play against any of them? As Roku, Campbell, Tootin?
No, Tootin, yes. Tootin, yes. When he was at Paulsboro, we played him in 2017. He was a soph. I know our defensive coordinator and our defensive staff, That was not a fun prep. You could tell he was going to be special. Fortunately on me, I just coach on the offensive side of the ball. I was like, hey, Coach Miller, Coach Mahomes, you figure this one out, buddy. You stop this. But no, so we were fortunate enough to play, and all of a sudden, it's obviously this year was a huge draft class for South Jersey football, right? Like, but this isn't something that just started, right? Like, we've had really good football here for a long time, right? And we can just go through even some of the Rolodex of guys who maybe not this year necessarily, that we have played against. Like Cam Horsley from Cinnaminson he signed with Tennessee, played at BC. We played against him at Cinnaminson, right? Big, gigantic human being, right? You could tell he was getting ready to go play at BC, and he had all these Division I offers. We got the 180-pound guard. Let's go get him, buddy. We got him. Let's go. But that's one thing we're always proud about our kids. We hopefully play tough, and that's a good thing. But you look at that span, even just through like a pause. So don't tell me about Group 1 football, Group 4 football, whatever it may be. Like Group 1 football, where it had like Julian Davenport of Paulsboro ended up going to the Texans, right? Through Bucknell, right? You had Hodges, who ended up at Penn State and got drafted by the Vikings. And you had Silvestri, who ended up at, with the New England Patriots and played with the Ravens in the Super Bowl, just out of Paulsboro, not to mention like Flipper and all those other guys way back when, right? Flacco out of Audubon. Like, so it's been happening here in South Jersey for a long, long time. Listen, we don't have to date ourselves and go Franco Harris and things of that nature, but we can go back to the heyday when Coach McEnany had Penn running, and all of a sudden it was every year, who's the next guy in the NFL? John Taylor and the Griggses and the Hickses, right? It's like this, it's endless. It's endless. You got Heisman Trophy, you got Ron Dane and Mike Rozier, you got guys who have always been in the conversation that have been in our backyard, right? So it's really nice that finally on the national level, you're starting to see, oh, wow, South Jersey plays good football. We've been here for a long, long time. It's just nice that our kids, and I say ours, even though it might not be Hatfield kids, they're all ours, right? They're ours. They're our tight-knit community.
Hey, listen, that's how I view it. I always, the Delaware Valley, to me, I've always thought it was my duty to shine a light on the kids from, southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, Delaware, because they're our kids, and nobody else is going to do it.
Right. And when obviously as Eagles fans, we're watching Corey Clement catch a touchdown in the Super Bowl, we're losing our minds because he's not only an Eagle, but he's one of ours.
Yeah.
Right. And I know coaches down in Glassboro, I'm like, no, he's really ours. I get you. But for that day, and when they were playing, it's a representation of South Jersey.
Mike Daniels,
gosh, yeah. When the career he had with the Packers, he played at Highland. We played against him, right? Like there's so many players, and even this year when we played against Hillside, and we know like their DN is going to go to Georgia. Their right tackle's going to Mississippi State. They have 2 going to Rutgers, 1 going to Temple, right? And we were fortunate enough to play play a playoff game against them. And Coach Grant, who was the head coach at Hillside, does a tremendous job with those kids. He just left and went to Union, but to be able to get a 14-7 win against them, against 5 Division I kids, that was fun. That was a really fun night. But you're proud of them, and they become one of ours after they leave. So great for Jihad being able to come home, by way of Timber Creek through IMG. It's awesome for him, right? How about the Eagles get that pick at 31?
Yeah. He's going to be a stud. He's going to be good. Oh, I can't wait.
He's going to be good.
Their defense, I love their defense, dude. I know you're an old guy.
No, come on, defense. Let's talk. Listen, it's not a luxury item. It's a necessity. You need to have a good defense. There's no ifs or buts about it. But 6 picks on D, right? That's good for them. You knew that was going to happen. You had to, right? And it just so happened that, best available almost became position of need as well, because he's going to be an edge guy, right? You would think you've got to use him in all scenarios. Hybrid, right? That's the big key word. Hybrid's been around forever, especially for guys who played in odd fronts. Those 3-4 looks.
Oh, yeah.
Hybrid has been around forever, right? But people never said that, right? Like people never said but Greg Lloyd always said he was what? An outside backer, right? Because he was a hybrid guy. Did he play a whole lot in coverage? No. Kevin Green? No. But they were hybrids. They played on ball, off ball. They could do a lot. It's not something new. It's just something now that people are bringing
Yeah,
the light a
we
little bit.
change the terminology all the time.
Yeah,
you know,
correct.
It's
You
funny.
know, 'cause
The
you can't have a
lexicon,
fullback.
right, of the football guy, it always changes.
You can't have a fullback anymore. You got to call him a sniffer or an H-back. No, you mean he's a fullback. He's a tight end. Stop.
Right.
Stop.
Yeah.
Please stop.
Yeah.
Stop. It's what it is. He's got flexibility.
Adam
Yes.
Schefter just broke 9 minutes ago. The NFL has fined the Falcons $250,000 and defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich $100,000 for the Shador prank call. His kid cost him $100,000 for leaking confidential information.
We're dads, all right?
Oh, man.
Are you kidding me?
It's
What
so
would you
funny
do to
because-
Matt?
100 G's.
I'm this way. Like when we'll use last year when Matt got selected for an all-star team, right? Great. He didn't know. All these kids know around. He didn't get selected. Why? Until it was put out. Right? There's a code, there's a conduct, there's a obligation. He is just a player. He's not there's no way. Come on, Matt. Massimo leaks out someone's number. He's going to go into your cell phone and leak out Coach Reed's number. Come on, what are we going to do to Matt? It's going to be a disaster.
Oh my God! He
we
won't
raise our
see.
kids the same way.
He won't see the light of day, or the video game gets broken by one of his $300 bats.
Oh God, yeah. Hey, look, these bats really do work. Anyway, that's here.
You know what I'm talking about with those stupid bats.
I do. It's crazy. It is crazy. But no, that is unbelievable, VG. I don't know. There's just that thing, that side that like you gotta keep things, and just because you have kids, they don't get preferential knowledge of anything of what's going on behind the scenes. Matt asked me like a practice plan. Hey, what are we doing in practice? You'll find out, but everybody else gets there, right? Like you will. We'll talk it over, but that's nuts. That's big time. That's big time. That's crazy.
You got any tournaments this weekend?
Yes. Is it Marlton? Maybe. Is that where we are?
I think I'm seeing you this weekend.
Is that right?
Yes. Wait.
Yes.
Let me pull up our little game changer, which is the schedule, VG.
All right.
Everything's on the Game Changer app.
While he's looking, Coach, can you refresh my memory? What is absolute value?
It's the distance from zero, right?
All
It doesn't matter if you're -7 or +7. How far are you away from zero?
All right.
7 spots. That's it. And they make it fancy, and they got to call, and they got to put some lines next to it and do all kinds of things. But no, it's all it is. That's it.
I must have learned it at some point.
Yes, we are in Marlton.
Oh yeah, sounds like a great. Yeah, we play it 2 and maybe 4 or something on Saturday. I don't know.
Yeah, we got 8 and 10. We got 8 and 10 on Saturday. Brooklawn and Medford.
Oh, all right. Here we go. So we're at Central Time Zone. You got the East Coast Time Zone where you got the West Coast tip-offs or first pitches. That's good. It's good.
So I'm sure we'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll see somewhere along the line, but who knows? Who knows?
We do. Yeah, we are intertwined. Basketball, right? Every sport.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Our kids have a really good, healthy relationship. It's fun. It was awesome when they had a chance to play on the same team for one night.
That was awesome. I love Matt. His son is a great.
You guys working on football plays while the games are going on?
Great.
You guys drawing up.
We should have. I was great. I was sitting in the stands, being a dad, and had to introduce the kids and get them all fired up. It was great. It was good stuff. It was awesome.
Awesome. Brother, I'll let you get back to work. Always a pleasure. All right.
It is. Thanks for having me, guys.
I'll see you over the weekend.
Appreciate it. All right. Sounds good.
See you, brother. There he is, Coach Matt, Coach Frank DeLano.
He's great.
Frankie's the
such
best.
a good personality.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. Yeah, because the kids are all playing the same thing. You see the same kids. There's a pool of kids that play baseball, basketball.
There's only so many
football.
tournaments going on in the area.
So you're always, see the same people, which is nice, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it's good to see the same people.
All right, buddy. So we got like you mentioned, the fine that came out.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, you want to do a couple nugs?
Yeah.
All right. My man, Otto.
Oh, Otto. I knew I wanted to get to that.
Otto.
2 last night.
2 more dingers last night. He's batting.
Bring him up.
He's batting like 331.
Bring him
Man,
up.
gotta bring him up, man.
The 1-0. Breaking pitch hit high in the air to left. Is the wind blowing this enough to get it out? Baker's out to the fence, and it's gone. Otto Kemp hits a soaring 3-run homer to left field. 13-1 Lehigh Valley.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a visitor's call.
There is something about April 29th at Innovative Field.
There he is. He's
Kemp clocks his 8th home run of the season. He's now knocked in 4 tonight, up to 25 runs driven in for Otto Kemp. You hit anything up in the air to left, and it is going to go. Gabriel Ring.
Saying it's wind that aided.
1-2 pitch. Breaking ball weighted on and driven towards center. Hassel's going back. He's the warning track to the fence, and another home run for Kemp. He hits his second home run in a row, this time a 2-run shot to center.
He's been on a
it is 16-1 Lehigh Valley, and Kemp is now driven in.
All right. Otto, baby.
Yeah, man, we got to get some Otto.
Give me
up
some
here.
Otto up here.
Yeah.
I need a power bat.
Yes, a right-handed power bat. We
That's
definitely
it.
need one, man.
Yes.
Stubbsy, our boy, the Vibes man. A little action last night. He took one.
Let me see. Stubbsy.
All right.
Look, everybody's wearing shorts now.
I know, everybody's in shorts weather.
Astro waiting from the right side of the plate. The kick, the pitch coming home. Swinging a hard grounder, and it hit.
Took him
The
out.
runner at third, Garrett Stubbs.
Wow.
Stubbs is down. He got hit on
Was
one of
able
his
to play 2 more
legs
innings, but then they had to
by
pull him in
that
the
hot
7th.
smash that was foul.
Where'd it hit him at?
I think
One of the athletic trainers for
Oh, that's a black and blue. That's going to travel. That's a black and blue up and down his whole leg.
All right, so I don't want to leave without this PSA.
Okay.
All right. We all are about gut health and good health. Fart walks are a very important part of your day. After you eat, you take a fart walk. This lady's going to tell you all about it.
I mean, do we need to?
Yes.
Going for a fart walk after dinner is something that's going to help you age wonderfully. And if you follow me, you know that my husband and I go out for fart walks most nights after dinner. So about 60 minutes after
People are
eating,
bizarre.
we
Listen.
put on our running shoes and off we go. Now, why do we do this? Well, we eat a lot of fiber, so we have gas. Everybody does. And yeah, you fart when you walk. So that's why I named it that. But the main reason that we do the fart walks is because by walking for as little as 2 minutes, we usually walk for about 10, 15, 20, but not really quickly. It's more of a moderate walk. We are helping reduce our chances of developing type 2 diabetes.
Exactly.
Why? Well, because walking is helping maintain our blood sugars, keeping them from ricocheting all around. And as you age, especially after 40, you have a bigger chance of developing type 2 diabetes. So it's these little things.
It's the little things,
do on a
man.
regular
It's the
basis
little things.
that can have a really big impact on your long-term health.
Yeah,
So-
I'm out on
So-
this. I'm out.
There's
on
another
this.
video where
I'm out on this
a
lady.
gastrointestinal doctor chimed in, said he couldn't agree more.
Okay, I'm sure it's good.
Gets you walking, gets the
I'm
intestines
sure walking's
moving.
good, but I don't want to hear some
You
some
and
lady.
Tam don't want to take a nice fart walk together after you eat? Just strolling through Mulligan Hill, blasting it? No? You're not down with that?
Blasting it.
Just crop dusting everybody in sight?
I'm staying away from you.
Come on, man.
Oh, dude, that lady's nasty.
No walking behind
fart
VG.
walks. All right, back in the day.
Well, yeah, please take me away from that lady. I don't need that. So much for lunch.
We're going back, 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 back. We're going back, 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 back. We're going back, 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 back. Back in the day with Rite Aid. Yeah!
All right, this is one I promised you on Monday. I sent the wrong one. John Kruk, SNL, 1993.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should be this time. Hopefully it's not the auto track. Here we go.
Long hair. During the World Series, the Philadelphia Phillies have been accused of being unshaven, overweight, long-haired, dumb slobs. Here now to answer those charges is Phillies first baseman John Kruk. John?
Hey, Kevin. I'm glad I'm finally getting a chance to talk about this.
John, before you get started, I just have to ask you one more thing.
What's up, Chief?
What are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in Toronto tonight?
Farley's the best.
He is the best.
I knew there was something to do. How'd we do?
Toronto won 8-6.
I should have been there.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Kruk.
Been there.
That's awesome, man. That's great. That's great.
I don't remember that at all.
You remember it?
I didn't remember it. I don't remember that.
I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't remember that.
All right, let's get some lunch, take a fart walk together.
Let's not do that. Great job, Andrew. Everybody, thanks for hanging as always. All right, have a great day. We love you. See you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.